What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Footy with an Edge. I am late today. I'm late by 30 minutes. I'm so sorry. Me and Rishi were recording the Stat Patterns episode, and we had some technical difficulties, so we had to delay this video today. But man, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for the patience. I know it's half an hour late. It's unforgivable. This will never happen again to the best of my ability. But we're here to talk about Elliot Anderson. Boys, we're here to talk about Elliot Anderson. And if we're going to miss out on another Declan Rice type signing, right? Because we look back at a few seasons ago when Arsenal signed Rice and look at it as, could we have done something there to actually convince this guy to come to the club? Hi Rishikesh, I'm so sorry, man, for being late. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for being here. And thanks every single one of you, man. You guys are the goats, honestly. Some of the best communities on YouTube is right here, man. And that's because of you guys. But let's look at Elliot Anderson. Let's take a look at some of his stats quickly, because I want to look at specifically this year. And if I can just share my screen, boom. Okay. So we're looking at someone that has elite, and when I say elite ball progression numbers, right? He's got 8.54 progressive passes per 90, okay progressive carries, so occasionally gets forward with the ball at his feet. 1.54 successful take-ons per 90, so it looks like he's trying to dribble forward with the ball as well. 2.38 touches in the attacking penalty area, and 2.92 progressive passes received. Yes, it's Alito. Andy is my real name. Andy is my nickname. My real name is slightly different. But No Man's Sky Clippy. Hey there, how you doing, man? Hold on. Is that some take on the name Clippy, the Microsoft Assistant Clippy? That's pretty funny. Imran, how you doing, bro? I love Imran because he's there in every single stream. So is Rishikesh. So is BB. And I love all you guys, man. You guys are the goats, like I said. I am not Muslim, Andy. Or sorry, I'm not Muslim, Imran. I'm actually Hindu. I don't know if that means anything one way or the other, but I am Hindu. Shiva Mahuja, how you doing? Hello, everyone. Again, I'm sorry I was 30 minutes late today because we were recording an episode of the Stat Patterns podcast. And I promise you guys it'll be worth it because that episode is going out later today. And we worked very hard on it for you. And Rishi, as always, was the GOAT for his research. And I promise you guys will enjoy it. Kerwin says, dudes and dudettes. Kerwin, my guy, we want you to debate Shant tomorrow on the Footy Fan Debate. Are you going to be there? Or are you going to be there? Because I want someone, I want you to be on camera. I want you to be available at the same time tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. UK to debate Shant. Are you ready for it? Or are you ready for it? Please do let me know. Joao Pino says, hello, guys. Hello, everyone. I also want to shout out a few new members because we have Magnus Bringsley, who's a new member. Welcome to the Members Club. And we also have Robert Medrano, who has upgraded his membership. So I appreciate you guys so much. And Rishikesh says I'm a Homo sapien, and I think Imran says he's not a Homo sapien. I'm guessing that's what you mean. He says, I'm from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. I watch your videos, and somehow this is my first time on the live stream. Oh, very nice, man. That's very cool. We have a few African viewers. In fact, Sherpa's here in the studio already to have a conversation with us. He's from South Africa. We've got a few people from Kenya. We've got people from where else? I had one caller from Sierra Leone. I had one caller the other day from Nigeria. So lots of African viewers, lots of African United fans, and I love everyone, man. I love you guys for being part of the stream. Nelson's here, nice and early. Any player who considers playing for Man City should be considered mentally unbalanced. Red flag. I mean, guys, come on. Like, are you sitting here saying that you wouldn't take prime Kevin De Bruyne just because he played a few seasons for City? There's no way. There's no way. Yes, Kerwin, it's tomorrow. And you can just use your phone to sign into StreamYard and talk to everyone. Let me just go back to myself since we're reading some comments here. Imran's laughing. Uh, Roberto's here. Hey, Roberto, how you doing, man? BB says he's Egyptian. That's awesome. Kerwin will be brilliant to debate Sean. He'll definitely be there. That's awesome. Sherpa speaking on Kerwin's behalf as a fellow South African. Sib says hello. Um, I'm Nigerian Egyptian, by the way. Oh, very cool. Wait, are you? Where are you, Imran? Did you tell us where you are? Are you Egyptian citizen from Nigeria? Is that what you mean? Nelson, you are yet to disagree. Yes. There's a lot of Nelson fans in the chat here. I love it. Imran says, "Okay, my mom is Egyptian. Nice. And where are you living right now?" Be interesting to hear. I'm down to do 30 minutes no camera. Kerwin, come on, man. We just need to see that lovely face of yours. That's how the debate is more fun. I guess if you can't be on camera tomorrow, that's totally fine. Because we also have what's his name? Robert from Kenya, Mr. President Robert, who is in line to do the debate. And honestly, um, Sherpa is here in the chat. If Sherpa is available tomorrow, we could have a Sherpa and Nelson debate. So Sherpa, if you want to get in the chat and tell us if you're down for that, we could definitely set that up. As Egyptian, I can confirm Marmouche is mentally unbalanced. Yeah, every Egyptian is mum after death, isn't it? Oh, you mean mummy? Okay. Sherpa says he's a huge Nelson fan. There we go. We're starting the debate. Marm washed. He's just on the bench. I'm in Nigeria right now, but moving to Egypt next week. It's too hot in Nigeria right now. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough, bro. From Zombie, I love your show, man. I love it. We get to see so many new faces from so many new places. We have Andriy Kontanenko, if I'm saying his name correctly, watching from Belarus. I know he's the only Belarusian guy that I've seen in the comments. So I love the diversity here, man. Kerwin says, let's do a doubleheader tomorrow. Sherpa says, you know how much I love discussing with Nelson. So count me in. Okay, let's go. Sherpa, do you know how to use Discord? Can you sign up for the Discord from our YouTube homepage? If you can do that, because I usually like to discuss the topics and stuff beforehand, so I can give it to you guys. Go take a look at it. But I'll talk to you on stream as well. So I'll bring you in a second and we can set it up. We need to do a fan meetup one day and watch a game. Absolutely, Roberto. We could do that in Toronto. I know you're in Toronto as well. There was another fan from Toronto that joined in a couple days ago. It was Ankit, I believe. So we could definitely hit that up. I know Marcus is in Toronto. Nelson's in St. Catharines, which is not too far away. Nelson says he can't do it tomorrow. Why can't you do it, Nelson? What do you have that's so important, bro? What is more important than debating Sherpa on the screen? Unless you're scared. If you're scared, it's okay. Like, I'd be scared of Sherpa as well. He's an actual journalist, bro. So I see what you mean in terms of taking him on. Choosing Man United over City, Arsenal, or even Chelsea, for that matter, right now is being offered a McLaren car, an old beater car, and choosing the beater. They got UCL trophies, etc. I mean, yeah, but Clippy, you're speaking too much sense, right? We're here to talk about top Reds. We're here to talk about bleeding United and all that. No, but I hear you absolutely. Like, listen, as a player, you got to do what's best for your career. How many takes did it take to record stat patterns this time? Actually, this was our quickest one. The issue was that we're using a new software in Riverside. And with Riverside, like I was having some audio issues, and so we got delayed by like 20 minutes. But other than that, I know Sean's trying to dig us out here, but sorry, bro, it's not gonna work. And I can only be jealous of Sherpa's SA Rugby. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. That is true. Best rugby team ever. Robert says Nelson is scared, bro. Your fellow Kenyan calling you out, Nelson. How are you just gonna sit there and take it? BB says I'm not that good at English. Hope that's a good thing. I think you mean good thing and not a hood thing. Let's see. Where's Rishi? Rishi looks like my brother-in-law. I'm not even kidding. Well, Rishi, I think we just finished the Stat Patterns episode, so he might just be like, walking around getting food. I don't know, something. Nelson's traveling for work, right? How convenient that you're traveling the day we have the fan debate, bro. I'm just kidding, by the way. Nelson's allowed to live his life, and he's got stuff for work, so he's got stuff for work. No problem. We'll find somebody else. We'll get Sherpa to join the Discord. Everyone that's watching, if you want to get on the fan debate tomorrow, um, join the Discord channel, and then we'll select somebody to be part of it, and we'll set it up. Rishikesh says Robert's already having a head start. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let's quickly talk about my takes on Anderson, and then we'll open the lines for people to come in. I know Sherpa's already patiently waiting in the background. So yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough, Sherpa. That's good enough. As long as you can see the messages, right? Cool. So let's talk about Elliot Anderson quickly. For me, this guy is his stats look amazing, right? His stats look really good for a player that can progress the ball well. He can take care of the ball. He's very intelligent with his passing. He's got very good shot creating actions, which means he's getting involved in the final third. My only concern with Anderson is, are his stats looking inflated because he's playing for a team that's at the bottom of the table, a team that's struggling, and a lot of the movement is happening through him, right? I have no doubt he'll look like a good player at Man City. There's no doubt about that, because Pep is going to look at a player like this, who is very good at volume passing and all that, and he's going to, he's going to be rubbing his hands because he can make players look better than they are in his system, and also surrounded by much better players. Like, let's be honest, the quality of Man City's squad is much higher than ours. So Elliot Anderson needs to have has a lower burden on himself when he goes and plays for a better team like City. But the question is, would he look worth 70 million, 80 million, 90 million, 100 million at United? That is the question, right? Because regardless of what the agents are saying and all that, we don't know exactly how much he's going to cost. And you bet your bottom dollar that, we're going to pay 10 million more than any other club would pay. So that is the only question for, I think, Wharton. Well, here, let me see. I think Semix is having a stroke, guys. I don't know what Semix is up to here. Hopefully, Semix, blink twice if you're okay, bro. Rishikesh says Wharton is more suited for City style, but I do see City trying to be more direct. No, I think Anderson or Wharton, bro, they both work well because the City's okay, speaking Arabic. Okay. But I think someone asked if you speak Arabic. So did they ask you, or was they just asking generally? Okay, that's my bad. So Semix is okay, guys. But yeah, so I think Wharton or Anderson would suit City very well. I personally, I want to get Wharton ahead of Anderson, but it's literally like, picking between I don't know, picking between two things that are not that far apart, and I'm just making a personal choice. Roberto Medrano says, I think Amram wants to move to having more possession, holding it up higher. If we don't have the center backs to progress the ball, I think he would do just fine with us. I agree. He would do well, but I don't know if he would do this well. But I still think 70 million is probably the going rate for him. And at 70 million, I would take Anderson at the club. Absolutely. And this is definitely a player that's going to go to City and going to look a lot better. So, it's going to be a situation of us looking at him at a different club and wondering what might have been, right? Guys, Anderson is coming to United. Chill. Okay. El Presidente knows something, guys. Shwea, yeah, Amu. Well, I lived in Bahrain, guys. Okay. I don't know if you know this. Let me just quickly, we need to talk about this. Both Rishi and I grew up in Bahrain, which is in the Middle East, very close to Saudi Arabia. We lived there for 5 years. So there's one or two words that I've picked up, so I know what shway means. Shway yalla, right? And Rishi probably speaks much better in terms of the Arabic that he does remember. But I've also lived in the Middle East, man. It's a great place, honestly. Great memories of living in Bahrain for me. Semix discovered the translate function on YouTube. Looks like we need to have a Semix versus Sherpa fan debate. Anderson would become City's new Bernardo Silva. I don't know about Bernardo Silva. It's a totally different profile of player. You could say actually Gundogan is a better shout. I think Anderson would be more like a Gundogan. I'd pair Anderson with Kamara / Schulman. Yeah, that's a good shout. For Wharton, I can find a like for like replacement in Rovella. Interesting. Isn't Rovella a little short though? Bruno does all this and scores lower defensive numbers though. Yeah, I agree. I think Anderson also has a has more physicality than Bruno. Wharton has a metronome profile, controls the tempo. I agree. Type of high intensity style Amram wants. Anderson is a must. Yeah, for sure. Nelson says I would watch that. Wharton is a luxury player alongside Anderson. Wharton on his own is not good enough. I I half agree with you and I half don't, because I do agree that Wharton on his own is not good enough, because you can't play like Wharton and Bruno, for example, or Wharton and Casemiro. But I don't think Anderson next to Wharton is a good pairing, because I don't think they have enough of an engine between the two of them to cover ground across the pitch. I think we need one of Anderson or Wharton and then a Baleba type player next to him. Bernardo Silva is unique. Mata with speed. Brilliant. It's Gundo. They overlap also. Does it make sense to go to a club that wants to replace Marmoush with Semenyo? Where do we think that leaves Koby if we bring in Anderson? Honestly, bro, is it unfair to say not my problem? Because, Koby is a great player, but is it my problem how he fits into this team? It's Ruben Amram's problem. It's the club's problem. I just want to see the best our team can do, and if there's a better midfielder right there that right now that can go get the job done for us, then does it matter where Koby plays? Anderson would have shades of Silva at City. Fair, that makes sense. You already know my preferred two. Yeah, Sean wants to get Mkhitaryan back and whoever else plays in midfield for Armenia. I know that's what Sean wants. He told me offline, guys. He was like, bin Anderson, bin Wharton. None of those guys are good. Okay, guys, let's bring in Sherpa. He's been waiting patiently in the background. We have 65 people watching and only 9 likes on the video. Guys, please drop a like on the stream. Please show the love to to the channel. Last question I'll take here. Shiva Mahuja says, if you can only pick one between Wharton and Lamine Kamara, who would you go for? Ooh, that's a tough one, bro. I love Kamara. I think I would go for Kamara because defensively and in terms of covering the ground, he seems like a slightly taller Kante for me, and he's very underrated. I don't think people have woken up to smell the coffee in terms of Kamara. So if we're saying we had to pick only one, I would take Kamara, bro. I would take Kamara. Looks like Sean's gonna be unsubscribing from the channel, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, and he would also be cheaper. I would go for Kamara, but if I could buy both of them, I think Kamara and Wharton would be a really good midfield pair. Really good midfield pair. Might even be better than Baleba and Wharton actually. So that's an interesting one. But anyways, let's open the lines. Sherpa, how you doing, my friend? You're on mute.
Let me just sort that out. Sorry, I had it muted so that if I came in and had to wait, I didn't cause too much hassle.
Yeah, fair enough. How we doing?
I'm good, hey? I'm good. I was so sad that I couldn't join on Sunday. To a bit of gloating would have done me good, but
yeah, with Nelson, right?
I put in the comments wherever I could because it was.
I saw that, and I bet you my bottom dollar Nelson saw it as well. Nelson's here. He's laughing. Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah.
Shameless.
Yeah, what the heck? After all of that as well. And I went and I watched the game, like taking notes. And I just think that there's a false narrative being written about Xerxes, a real false narrative. It's all over. It's even supposed, professional commentators and that. Xerxes didn't lose the ball in the first half. I don't know what people were talking about, except for that one pass from Mason Mount. He didn't lose the ball, but
that's not him losing the ball. That's Mount playing a dumb pass, right?
Yes,
and then there were so many other things. And imagine my surprise, because I was doing the live watch along, right? And it's not the same as me watching the game if I'm not doing a watch along, because obviously I've got 10 things going on. And so when I went and watched the first half back, to my shock, I was like, my God, Xerxes was not only not bad, he was our best player. He didn't lose the ball, not even once. He did everything right. He was holding off the players well. He was constantly dragging double teams towards him.
Yeah,
and creating space for the players around him. And in the second
yeah,
half, he even won a header, very similar to how Sheshko would win the headers,
yeah,
right? So honestly, yeah, I feel like I I don't know what people are saying. I think sometimes people look at, the experience we had with Hoyland, right? Rasmus
yeah,
Hoyland, and we see a player that had barely any game time under him, half a good season, and we paid big money for him, and it didn't end up working out. And we see that with Sancho, with Anthony, with Rashford, with all these players that we've been disappointed with, and we just want to be early on the disappointment. We want to say we're not going to
yeah.
give him a chance to disappoint us. We're just going to not believe in him from the beginning.
And also, don't you think it's because Xerxes gives a little bit of Martial vibes? The not the emotion on the face and so
Yeah,
forth. So
yeah, yeah,
everyone thinks he doesn't care too much,
yeah,
like how Martial would. And so people
yeah.
automatically put that. It's the whole English thing about a good
Also,
form old chap
also
and all
maybe
of that.
maybe
Yeah,
it may be slightly a race thing as well, right? Because sometimes
yeah,
with black players, and Xerxes half black, I think, and with them, because it was there with Pogba too. People were like, because he
yeah,
had a languid running style, that he wasn't running well. In fact, you could argue that Mainoo has a bit of the same problem now, because you
yeah,
know his body language doesn't look like he's rushing onto the ball. But
yeah,
personally, for me, I watched Mainoo long enough to say that I don't think it's just his body language, but also his passing and other aspects of his
yeah,
game that need to improve. But I agree with you. I think with Xerxes, I think it is the Martial
yeah,
issue. It is a bit of the Pogba issue as well, where it
yeah,
feels like when you look at him, he doesn't have the hustle, and so you
yeah.
just want to give up on him. You're like, this guy's never going to work in an Amarim system.
And so there's things, but for me, I'm hoping that Amaran's strength of personality and character, because he has shown a strong mentality to to do what he needs to do and guide players through it, will help, because that's what helped us in that second half. Because in truth, in my opinion, the only thing that what made Crystal Palace better than us was Mateta was physically stronger than our defenders, so they could play a long ball and Mateta could outmuscle Euro, even De Ligt, for that matter. But the moment they were able to handle that and use Xerxes better, in other words, players a little bit closer or expecting him to win a ball or flick it on or whatever, and look for him, things turned around. And really the goal changed it, because there was greater belief after the goal. Before that, it was great, better in the second half, but it wasn't like, hey, we're going to win this, until that goal came. And it was Van Basten more than Van Persie goal, if people can remember back in the
Oh yeah,
day.
yeah,
That
yeah. Van
yeah,
Basten,
that yeah,
also like Van Basten in terms of profile, right? He wasn't electric in terms of his pace,
yeah,
right? He was a little bit slower compared to the modern strikers that we know, but an
mhm,
elite finisher, right? An
yeah,
elite finisher. And that finish from Xerxes, you guys don't realize, it was almost a hair's breadth away from hitting Henderson, and it wouldn't have gone into the goal. It bended outside of Henderson and went into the net, because it was such
yeah.
fine margins from that angle. So that was like, I don't think he would recreate that in training if
To me,
he
it's the
wanted to.
goal of the season. To me, but
Yeah.
that's because I have a bias towards Xerxes, and I've been
Yeah.
saying that. Then I had
Yeah.
to also like nudge myself. But yeah, but anyway, let's go back to your topic. I guess that's the most important.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing
Anderson.
today.
Anderson, yeah.
Yeah.
What do we think about
Look,
Anderson?
not just I agree on Anderson and Baleba. The position of CDM, or the little bit of the metronome, whichever position, three midfielders or two midfielders, we haven't filled, not since Carrick, actually since Scholes. Everybody talks about Robin van Persie winning us that 20th title, the last title of Ferguson. But what they forget is that Ferguson asked Paul Scholes to get out of the commentary booth and rejoin the club. He had retired. He was in the commentary booth because we couldn't replace the midfielder. We couldn't get that midfielder, that defensive midfielder, and a person who could attack and so forth. And we've never been able to. We tried
Mhm.
the one year that I thought when we got Pogba, but then the whole thing got lost in double pivot and what that means and so forth.
Oh, it
And
was
we
all about
lost some space.
unlocking Pogba,
Yeah,
and then we got a
yeah,
29-year-old Matic to do that. Actually, I
yeah,
would say since Sir Alex retired, our best midfield three was Pogba, Matic, and Herrera,
yeah, yeah,
right? That
definitely.
that
And
was
we
the
saw that in
midfield
the
that had the
Chelsea
most
game.
balance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we saw that in the Chelsea game in particular. But it just somehow the creativity went and so forth. So, but we've never really replaced. So we tried a bit. But so if we went for, and I don't know Kamara too well, to be honest with you, I don't say what I don't talk about players I don't know, but
Mhm.
definitely Baleba. I still have a lot of confidence in Baleba, Anderson more than Wharton midfield would do it for me, and I agree with you that for me, the argument on Koby, like Real Madrid went to go and get Camavinga and Tchouaméni in one transfer window. They didn't say because we're getting Camavinga, we mustn't get Tchouaméni. I mean, like, no, they didn't do that.
And
And the
Chouameni
profiles are
struggled
very
to get in
similar.
the team for a long time, by the way. They
Exactly.
paid big money for him, and he
Yeah.
still struggled to get into the team for a long time.
Right. So for me, we want the options. We want players competing. So Kobe must remain and compete. I've said this before. I would get all three if we could. Why not get Wharton, Anderson, and Baleba? We've got options then for days because, simply put, we're not going to just easily replace Casemiro, as the defensive midfielder. We're going to have players to double up and do that in such a way. But because we're playing just the two in the midfield, and that's a formation thing, but you're going to have to ask certain players to do other things as well. It means that your replacement for Bruno, or the person most likely to, but will have to prove himself for Bruno, is Koby. But Koby must compete with Wharton for that position because he has to still develop the long pass. He has to still show how he can get into space, how you can have greater stamina and so forth. And on a team under pressure, either with a lower mid block or a team pressing us, like other top teams could. So for Koby, he will compete, and I think for right now, Anderson will edge him, but he should go past Anderson. He should go past Anderson. And then Anderson is also can compete with Baleba in a different way. So we can have
Yeah.
all these options. And if we're going to be a top team, then you're talking about, I want the treble again. I want a quadruple. There's enough games if we're aiming to build a team
Yeah, and
who's
if
the
we if
best in the
we get
world.
into the Champions League or Europa League, we have so many games to play, right? And Sean makes an interesting point. Kobe doesn't have the tool set to replace anyone in the system, unfortunately. Only thing I'd change from Sean's point there is he doesn't have the tool set yet. Because do I
Yeah.
believe he's throwing up a fuss in training and not doing what Amram wants? Absolutely not. I think he's doing exactly what Amram wants. And we only need to look at Joshua Xerxes to see the proof in the pudding. Within two starts of playing in the team because Sheshko got injured and Cunha was out, we have seen Xerxes essentially win us a game, right? Because that was the goal that gave us the catalyst to go on. He didn't score the winner, but it was the catalyst that sprung us forward in that second half. So, in my
It's the both
opinion,
sides of the pendulum.
yeah,
It's the both sides of the pendulum or whatever. Either people are overhyping a player or they're writing him off too quickly. So you can't overhype Kobe. He's not the finished article. But neither do you write him off because he's not the finished article. You
yeah,
give
yeah,
the
yeah.
chance.
That's a great
And
point.
also
That's a great
Kobe
point.
must understand it as well. Because in the comments, it's either you for no, I'm for him, but he must wait. He will get his chance. He will get his chance. I want Kobe to get his chance. But he can't be a moments player. A moments player and that's what this information age does. You want the TikTok as opposed to the whole movie, and he can really be a really, really, really good player. But he must just bide his time, and he will be
Yeah,
because we will start fading Bruno if he goes to Saudi Arabia or not. We will start to do that, and that's correct. But we won't do it just because Kobe is there. Kobe must be good enough as well. And the Champions League, if and when we get in, the format is so many games, so many meaningless games as well.
yeah.
Right. So there's not that
Well,
whole
Sherpa,
round robin.
one thing I'll disagree with is we're in such a bad way right now that no game is meaningless for us. We could play Kaiserslautern or like whatever team you want to bring up, whatever like random team from Poland or Austria, any team that comes to us, we have a chance of losing against them, right? They're gonna come here for a big Champions League away game, and their fans are gonna be at it and all that. And then one of our players goes to sleep, and maybe Onana comes back, and something happens to
Well, it's
Mullins,
only it's only
right?
because of the media. It's only because of the media. You could like Real Madrid, you could lose so many games in this format of the Champions League, and still make the knockouts. That's how it's a whole league. It's not really. I mean, I hate the format. I think it's just commercial and money making. But you can use it. If you recall what we used to do with the Champions League, that's when we really would use the Champions League group stages, sometimes even knockouts, depending who we're playing, to play certain young players with the older heads.
Yeah.
And that's how you're supposed to use Europe. You're not supposed to go in like Mourinho tried to do when he was playing games with the board because he wanted to prove a point, going with too many young players, and which even Ole did as a mistake as well, because you must mix it. It's just two or three you use maximum in that way, including a goalkeeper very often. So
Yeah.
Koby would get those chances there and start to tell. And remember, like Amarin did with the Europa, Europe outside of the UK or the EPL is a lot less physical when you're playing non-EPL teams. So you can play players that would suffer in the EPL in that regard. So you can use
And
it in that way.
just look at Arne Slot, right? He's every time he's on the ropes, he goes
Yeah,
to Europe and he's like, "Oh, these guys play the way I want them to play. These guys sent me the team sheet 3 days before the game. So this, these guys are okay in my books." Because they beat Frankfurt like 5-1 in the midst
yeah,
of like a meltdown elsewhere in the Premier League.
yeah.
In the EFL Cup too, that like he just played kids and got spanked 3-0, right? So
Yeah.
I
And
agree
also,
with you. I think
I send love to West Ham, hey? West Ham really did us a favor because if they beat Liverpool, Slot could have
yeah,
been
Slot
out.
could
And
have
we
gone
want
sacked.
Slot
Yeah.
there.
Exactly. We Slot can leave after he loses 7-0 to United at Old Trafford. All right.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
that can be his last game because Eric Ten Hag did them the courtesy. Now we have a Dutch manager at Liverpool who's going to come and
Yeah.
pay us back the favor, right?
Yeah, that's a
Um,
whole story of Dutch managers in the
yeah.
in
The
the English
funniest
Premier
thing,
League.
let's talk about Liverpool for a second because the funniest thing is when you talk to Liverpool fans and you tell them, listen, Slot has to be more respectful of the league. He has to play a little bit more defensive because he's leaving himself way too exposed. Everyone's getting on the center back saying Konate is crap and Van Dijk is crap and Kirkaz is crap and Bradley is crap, but they don't realize that his system is leaving the back line so exposed that they're consistently having to overperform in order to just stay in the game. That's why they're conceding all these goals. And I'll tell you what, guess where else we've seen exactly the same thing happen? We've seen it at United with Ten Hag. In his first season, we played defensive football. We said we kept so many clean sheets. Second season, faced some injuries. We tried to play more expansive. And guess what happened? Our midfield was, like a polo mint with a hole,
Yeah.
right? And we also were putting way too much pressure on Harry Maguire, Lindelof, like those types of defenders to bail us out consistently, even Martinez. So that's why we look so bad. And that's why Diogo Dallo was like our best player of the season, right? 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
People tend to forget that. So we don't realize, like Liverpool fans don't realize that the only reason you guys won against West Ham was because you dropped Salah. You played a
Yeah.
completely different system, right? You're playing Gakpo at right wing. You played Verts in the team. And so you need to, people need to realize that this league is the most competitive and the most exciting league for a reason, right? Because every team can come show up one day and just destroy you. Like I won't be surprised if Leeds has an upset in them, right? Leeds could go beat somebody, 3-2 or like a big team,
Well, they were
right?
close
And
against City. They were close against City.
yeah, they in fact, yes, they were close against City, and Sunderland drew against Arsenal 2-2, right?
Yeah.
The team that was looking unstoppable, the team that had won 10 games in a row. So that guy would have gotten 2 haircuts, right? If
Yeah.
he was an Arsenal fan. So I'm just saying, like, we need to realize how competitive this league is. And just because, let me give you an example, right? Just because the Ralph Ranick season, the season that Ollie got sacked, we finished sixth. And we're looking at last season saying, oh, Amarim came in and we finished 15th, right? Like WTF, like what are we doing? Like, how can we do that? Guys, even in the space from Ollie's first season to now, I think Ollie came in first in 2019-20 to now, the league has gotten like 2-3 times more difficult, right? Even
Yeah.
teams that are coming up are way, way more competitive. They're way more ready for the Premier League. How much money did Sunderland spend this summer? Like 150 million or something like that, right? They're spending top dollar to stay in the league. So we need to realize If you're not moving forwards, you're going backwards in the league. And so we need to realize that for us to be competitive, Koby Mainoo is not the problem, right? We need
Yeah.
to stop talking about Koby Mainoo. Would we be talking about any other player that was from any other nationality, or even if he wasn't from our academy, right?
And on the league being competitive in that, I mean, the one part where you just touched on or you hinted at was even a team, in whichever club has got enough money to buy good players, and so there's that part, and that's like easy. And so even a good team has to spend so much just to remain on the same level. And if they don't, they can drop so easily. City without Rodrigo just went so badly down. At the same time, there isn't really a dominant team in the top four for that matter. So there's no top four in reality, and there isn't a dominant team. So yeah, you could make the argument, City's always going to be there, Arsenal is always going to be there, Liverpool is always going to be there. But if they drop off a bit, like you've seen this season with Liverpool, you can drop so easily. But your squad, of course, helps you to bear it out. But you're not going to be dominant in that way. United, because of the media and because of our public troubles, we don't have that reputation. So we don't get a lot of cheap points. We don't get teams just trying not to lose against us. And so then we have a tougher,
which happened a lot, by the way, during Sir Alex's era. That happened a lot, right? Because teams would come in without any belief to Old Trafford. Yeah. They would come in having lost the game in the tunnel, right? That's a thing that a lot of players said. Yeah.
Mourinho made that mistake with Moyes. He came trying to get a draw against that Moyes team and only realized later, like, oh my goodness, I made a mistake, because it's actually easy to beat this United team under Moyes. There's no Sir Alex. The difference is that where all teams are trying to play the same, except for ours and a couple of others. And this is where the beauty of Amarin is not treasured enough by our fans. That you could see it in the first half of the City game, because it was the same formations or whatever. We were cancelling each other out in many ways. It wasn't just because City got tired later. We were cancelling each other out, and until we stepped up a bit, we were able to then utilize our, I think, quite talented players, which we didn't think were so talented beforehand if we listened to ourselves. But so Amarin being different is actually what's going to help us to become dominant or be a regular, push for the title, because Sherpa, everybody knows what to expect, and that's the difference. That's a difference. I don't think we take into account. I don't think that we look at. And if you look at like La Liga, part of the problems with La Liga was everybody was trying to play the same way. Everybody's trying to emulate Barcelona, and we did the same. Everybody's trying to play like City, and that has to change in that way. And now, because Pep, in a way, has lost a little bit of identity, there are people still doing the same thing. And there, where you're correct on Slot, and that's the last one I'll make. Slot is somebody who he's lost his head. So what he does is he goes on attack because he doesn't know what else to do. And I don't know what his backroom stuff. I don't know enough of Liverpool on that, but I don't think they're sober heads in that club at the moment. They are just freewheeling. They are freestyling, and all the more they must continue doing that, because you'll come to the dark side on Liverpool with all of us. Don't worry, Andy.
Yeah. No. So listen, for me, every person in history, right, across all aspects of life, any revolutionary always looks like he's batshit crazy when he's first trying to do his thing, right? I was reading Steve Jobs' biography recently, and if you go look at his career, guys, before he came up with the iPod and then the iPhone and all the revolutionary products that they did, Apple was really struggling. He got kicked out of his own company, right? Because he was very obtuse and very difficult to work with. And when I look at the phone market at the time that he came out with the iPhone, right? You had Blackberries, you had Nokia, like all these phones with tons of buttons. Sherpa will remember this, obviously. And I was young, growing up, and watching like the Nokia phones that were built like bricks, and he came up with this idea that we're going to have a touchscreen phone, and it was like technologically infeasible. It was difficult to do at scale, but he had a vision and he made it happen, right? So for me, if you look in the football sense, when Pep Guardiola first came through and he said, "I'm going to play Messi as false nine, I'm going to play all these small players across the pitch,"
Mm.
people thought he was nuts. In fact,
Yeah.
even after he had proven it at Barcelona, at Bayern Munich, we said he's never going to be able to do it in the Premier League. Gary
Yeah.
Neville, Jamie Carragher, every single one of these guys were saying, no way he can do it. And what did he do? He's come and won 4 league titles in a row. So I think the point that Sherpa is trying to make, and the point that I've been trying to make for months now, is that Amorim has that je ne sais quoi. He has that ability to really mess with the teams that are at the top of the table, right? And that tells you that against the best teams and best systems that are up there, he is really killing it, right? And so he's
To help
going toe to toe with the best systems.
you out, Andy, I will quote the father of your country, nation, Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
Yeah.
And I want us to remember, because first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. I think we are close to the fourth part.
We have guess who showed up, guys. Guess who showed up. We can't have the debate tomorrow, so let's just do it today. Because Nelson's here to completely disagree. Nelson's here, guys.
People said I was running away from you, so I decided to jump in.
No, but we don't need we don't debate, Nelson. We talk, eh?
No, we just talk. Yeah. Actually, everything you said today, I fully agree with. I think specifically with the Koby.
Can someone reach out to his wife and make sure he's okay? She's in the back. I see her.
I think she's lost. She's working on something. But no, yeah, because I actually think there's only one concern I have. Sorry, and it's not. It's part of what you were saying. I think the youth thing is an issue. I think a lot of the players that we're looking for are fairly young. I do think experience is going to be a key issue at some point. Because if we are going to let go of Bruno...
You mean in the midfield, right?
In the midfield. Like if we're saying we're losing Casemiro, Bruno, Maguire, even though I don't rate them, they do have a lot of experience. And I think you're seeing the problem in the striker position. Because we're struggling. None of our strikers actually have a lot of experience. Either one of them. And that's why you see they struggle in long stretches because they don't have that guy who can come up to them.
You could even argue Liverpool is having some of this issue because Trent had a bunch of experience, right? Yeah. Luis Diaz, very Premier League proven player, a very good presser as well. Even Diogo Jota, obviously, rest in peace. And then a bunch of their midfielders that have left in previous seasons, right? Henderson, they're now feeling the impact. Wijnaldum that left all that time ago. Fabinho that left. Even their center backs, Joel Matip was one of the most underrated midfield defenders because everybody was busy glazing Van Dijk. I think Matip is a big miss, and you're seeing the effects that pressure is having on Konate now, right? Because it looks like he wants to go to Madrid. He has his heart set on Madrid, and maybe he's there already, enjoying the sunshine.
And I think people seem to ignore how important experience is. No team has won, well, except us, to be fair. No team has won without experienced players, a lot of experienced players. So I do by the way, I like Anderson, I like Kamara, I like Baleba, and Wharton too. Any of the four, I take. I'd gladly take them. I'd prefer two of them though. I do like Anderson and Kamara now. Those would be my top two. Kamara, watching that PSG game.
Okay, Baleba's fired Nelson as his agent, guys.
Holy crap.
He's got on Kamara now.
No, that PSG game really shocked me. I haven't seen running like that since
But is Kamara PSL? Sorry, I turned PSL. That's our local league. EPL experience. I'm just asking because I don't know too much about him.
So he's
quite a huge match.
Yeah, if you go watch some of his highlights, like Nelson said, go watch the PSG Monaco game, or just go watch the video I made about Kamara. You know that you can watch that too. I made it 2 months ago already.
All right,
for me, Kamara is basically it reminds me a lot of Kante in how he gets across the pitch and how he rushes into tackles, the aggressiveness that he has, right? And he has very good physicality for someone who's 5'10" as well. So he would very much fit to the Premier League, like, I don't know, duck to water or whatever the metaphors are. I think he would be very good. And Nelson usually, has let's say actually 70% of takes me and Nelson fully agree, and 30% we wildly disagree. So this falls into the 70 the
Mine is more like
5%
80
that we
20
wildly
with
agree.
Nelson. Mine is more like
Agree,
80
right?
20. Mine is more like
Disagrees
80 20 with Nelson.
As long as
The
I'm
disagrees
as long
80.
as long as I'm at 60, as long as I'm 60 plus, I'm happy.
Yeah.
but
But
go
I
on,
just
go
want to
on.
ask though, but because like what I liked about Baleba was what I saw in Kante.
Mhm.
So but he was able to do that in the EPL.
So
And
if you
that's
go on, sorry.
no. That's an
Yeah.
important thing. So if we're gonna take a chance,
Mhm.
shouldn't you have a backup? Because the way
Okay,
firstly
yeah,
on the
that's a
striker,
good that's a
I
good argument.
agree with you on the striker. What hurt even Hoyland was that he
Mhm.
shouldn't have been the main striker.
No, he should
He
never
should have
been.
had an older striker to learn under.
Mhm.
That's quite important. I also agree with you. It's not just about experience.
Mhm.
It's a matter of allowing you help you can't. Not everybody is a gigs,
Yeah.
right? Even all the others, Beckham, the Neville brothers, all of them. They even Scholes. They had to be gradually introduced. It's
Yeah.
only Giggs that went in straight away.
Straight
It's only
away.
Giggs.
Yeah.
He was completely different,
To
and
even
that's
add on
once
that,
in a generation.
Scholes played on the wing.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
people forget that the Scholes people remember is the central midfielder Scholes.
yeah,
The previous Scholes was actually an attacking midfielder. He got dropped
yeah.
later on. Yeah. Sorry, continue. Yeah.
No, totally correct. And
Yeah.
so this thing with the youth, I mean, I one of my first times on Footy with the Edge is that I've said this with the youth on the youth, and I think Amarin is correct. We are drinking the media's Kool-Aid on the youth.
Mhm.
We are.
Yes.
They've cultivated this. And yes, you always have academy players and that, but we buy players, we buy the best players.
Yeah.
And the youth prove themselves, and we sell some of them, and we get it wrong when we sell some of them, and we get it correct, and so forth. But we are not a youth team.
Mhm.
We've never been one. But now, because we're not winning things,
Mhm.
that's our way out. That's our way out. And so we start to, and Amarin said it in the last season. He said, "I've never come to a club and seen the youth so elevated, or whatever the word he used then, because and the youth then buy this as well, and they think they've arrived.
Yeah.
You know that and they must just move in. No, you earn your spot, and so the balance has to be gotten, and that's what we've done with Koby. That's how we messed up Garnacho in a sense, but maybe he was messed up. We don't know, but I'm really hoping the people around Koby, and I take what you're saying, Andy, that he's helping, but let's hope he signs that contract. So come 2027. Otherwise in 2026 we're going to be looking to ship him. That he's not expecting to get 200,000.
Mhm.
He's okay with getting 80 or 120 or whatever it is.
I think the
I'm
problem
hardcore
is,
Nazi.
the problem overall as well is we want everything to happen immediately, right? Even Sherpa, you made the point about us using Europe as a stepping stone for the players to get some minutes and all that.
Mhm.
I think we are more like Crystal Palace being in Europe for the first time than we are United that used to be consistently in Europe. Because honestly, we have to take every game as seriously as the last one, right? If we're in the group stage, if we're like fourth after 4 match days or 5 match days or whatever, and the last 2 games you want to use as giving youth some time, like Fredrickson and those types of players, I'm all for it. But before that, we can't. We need to realize how far down we've actually fallen in the pecking order, right? Us finishing 15th wasn't actually, and so that's not me disagreeing with your point. My point is that with Koby Mainoo, for example, people are like, give the youth some chance. This team has always been someone that promotes the youth. Yeah, when we had all these stars in the team already, like Cantona and what's it called, and Bruce and Pallister, all those guys were in the team when the class of '92 was being bet in, right? We don't have the class of '92 right now. We don't have the class of anything. we don't have that level of youth players. We don't have that level of first team. So to use Koby Mainoo in their comparison doesn't make sense. We just need to wait for
I agree
players to
with you,
show something.
Eddie. I agree with you, and I just want to make certain I'm not misunderstood. We must learn how to this format of the Champions League. You must learn how to slipstream. That you can bide your time and peak later. It's no use winning, being top of the group, this large round robin league, and you've hurt yourself. When Man United fell off and we weren't qualifying for Europe and we weren't winning the league, go and look how City and Liverpool and them suffered. That when you did well in the Champions League, you didn't do well in the league. It's only later that happened. Only once Pep was able to crack it and understand how to balance it, then only. So for the first part, if we get into the Champions League, we mustn't be expecting to win the Champions League. We must use the Champions League, but first secure our Champions League return. So it's a matter of, like before, you would have said win, make certain you get to the knockout stage and then don't worry. But now it is make certain that you are strong enough in the league, and you will be able to peak in such a way and slipstream, maybe with January signings and that, to be able to do better in the Champions League. And if you win it, great stuff. If not, no big hassle. That's the way you will build a much stronger team, and with the tradition you want.
Yeah.
So for me, tactically, you have to change your approach, how you're looking at it. You can't
Sherpa,
look at it.
let me just welcome No Man's Sky Clippy to the show. No Man, how you doing? Where are you from? Introduce yourself quickly, and then I have the super chat to read out.
Hello everyone. I'm in the chat as No Man's Sky Clippy. I'm from India, and I have been following Man United fairly recently from like Ten Hag's first season, the season when we
Poor
won
guy.
when we won the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
Okay.
From that point, I did not expect that following United would be increasing my blood pressure every week in and week out.
Yeah, well, you know
Like
how we
one of-
feel like from a long time ago, because we had to sit through Van Gaal ball, okay, where he
Oh,
was
man.
passing the ball sideways and backwards. But welcome to the show, man. Let me just read out the super chat and we can get your thoughts on it. Ernest Wright, thank you so much. He says, I asked this question to everyone talking about Koby. Give me good reasons why Koby should start over any of the midfielders. Haven't seen any yet. And listen, I can't see any other reason than the fact that he's an English player coming through the academy. Right, that seems to be the biggest reason for me why the media won't stop talking about it, why anyone else won't stop talking about it. I think in a way, even the quote unquote well wishers of our club would like to see us crash and burn for longer, because you look at the some of the legends, right? Like your Roy Keane and your Gary Neville, even Jamie Carragher, like legends of different clubs. I think it makes them look better and better the longer that United don't succeed like we used to once, right? Because they seem like, oh, back in my day, we stayed back after training and did extra touches and took free kicks and put in all this extra work. Yeah, guys, back in your day, you also drank 20 beers on a game night, right? You went out on the piss. Like United has now that we have this new administration, we want to sign clean living professionals. That's something that Jason Wilcox has come out and said. That's something that Cunha passed in terms of his personal life. That's something that Mbumo passed. Many of our legends, the way that they were playing back in the day, would not be considered clean living professionals, right? And I would even put Rooney into that category.
Yeah.
Rooney abused his body. That's why he was done at 34. So any of these legends that want to say, listen, are they still legends? Do I still respect them? Absolutely. But did they face the same pressures that the players today face in terms of social media? Did they have Bruce and Pallister talk shit about them on TV every week? Right? Did they have the legends of the past talk shit about them every time they took a poor pass? And did they have the opportunity to play among shit players? Right? Because you look at someone like Bruno Fernandes, man, we shit on Bruno so much in the media. So much. Like people were saying he wanted to get off the pitch after the 7-0 performance. Because Gary Neville said that. on what basis, bro? This is the only guy that wants to be on the pitch every single week, and to see someone like Roy Keane, who did the same thing when he was playing, shit on Bruno just upsets me. So for me, I think it's the media, it's everybody else that's forcing us to think that Koby Mainoo is something that he's not. And that's the only answer I have. What do you guys think, gentlemen?
Of course, the media is going to spin it like that. Like, United basically runs their houses. That is basically it. For them, United is basically their bread and butter. Like, uh, like, imagine if any of our players dropped stinkers like Isaac and Words for the first 13 matches. Imagine if Mbuemo did that. Cunha was doing that, and Cunha was getting dragged through the mud. Like, there is definitely a bias, anti-United bias there.
Yeah, agreed.
But
Sherpa,
what is it? Hated but never ignored. Hated, adored but never
hated,
ignored.
adored, never ignored. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not just like the simple point is it's easy to be a football analyst because if you don't have anything to say, you just talk about Manchester United. It's as simple as that. You don't need to do any preparation. You can be a United ex-player or whomever. You always will. It's as simple as that. It's like a comedian when doesn't know what to do will just talk about sex. You're unsure. That's your easiest topic. There's no art. There's no craft. There's no analysis, and that's why Nelson.
Yeah.
That people just rated Xerxes the way they did before the game because they didn't look at him, right? Or they talk about Koby like he's so great, right? In that way, because we predetermine, which is analysis. Pre-analysis tells you do that, but you got to leave the space to look at what is being built a little bit more, what is possible, and so forth. And so many of the analysts are not doing that. And also part of it is because Sky and whichever other big media groups in the UK, ITV.
Sherpa, sorry, let me just welcome Ua Juba to the members club. Welcome to the members club, man. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your support. And I think you said something earlier. You said you agreed about what is it? This one right here. Absolutely right about the legends, especially about Gary Neville. So appreciate that you also agree with me and you're becoming a member at the same time. So welcome. But yeah, go ahead, Sherpa.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Answer. I think that in all reality that these commercial. I've been on news as a panelist or whatever, not on football, and the underlying tone is we expect you to do this. And if you do not have intellectual independence, if you don't have ethics, you go with the flow because you want to get invited back and they get paid wherever appears. They get paid. You want to get invited back. So if you Graham Souness, who has a gripe, of course you will. If you Jamie Carragher, if you Gary Neville and you're counterintuitive and you mess yourself up, you don't want to show a United bias. Even if you Rio Ferdinand, who has his own channel on YouTube itself, he has to go with that flow because he needs to keep that marketing machine going. So United is the easiest way out. We've got the most fan channels, right? You've got the most people talking about it, etc. And bad news sells. So I mean, Andy, why your channel is growing is because you decided to put some science and facts together to say, guys, it's not that bad. But then, of course, why me and Nelson are so popular is because we are not necessarily positive all the time.
No. Nelson's popular because he wants to come here and defend Maresca and Arteta.
Wait.
Anything to not support.
Glasner Palace have got a better team, and Chelsea's top four, but not Palace because not anymore.
No.
The facts talk. I had to.
I have a whole argument for Sherpa, but I want to be so positive today because of I think the Koby.
What do you mean, bro? People are stopping. People dropped off the chat as soon as you said that. I'm about to turn the stream off because Nelson wants to be positive. Don't force anything, bro. Just say it with your chest.
We'll get there. We'll get the Crystal Palace.
Okay.
argument.
Just going
Alright,
to
alright,
interrupt here for just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Nelson is very positive. I was there on the stream like 2 days ago. Nelson saying that we can be fourth. Like, damn, bro. I wish I had that optimism, man.
I am.
That's a con. That's a con. That's a con. Don't be. He's saying we can be fourth because if we don't get fourth,
don't finish
you'll see,
fourth.
see,
Yeah, he wants
Amaron is
Amaron
bad.
No,
He hasn't
no.
used the team properly. He's a con artist. 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 in this case.
Yeah.
Listen,
No, I definitely want to be fourth. But like, damn, I cannot find that optimism in myself right now. Like the results are so like, it's like 0-1, 0-1, 0-1, like up and down, up and down, up and down.
No, but
Yeah.
to be I the fourth argument, I don't want to chop about it. I want to first focus on Koby because I will get to the fourth argument.
Sure.
I actually do think Kobe's good. I think the issues why he would struggle in this team. Defensive positioning is something that takes a lot of time for a person to like evolve, and
especially at Casemiro's level, right?
Yeah.
We're not realizing, as bad as Casemiro has looked at times, he has also been very important to some games.
Indeed.
That's why I'm not saying we should drop him yet.
It's a reason why though Ugarte's like interception numbers and tackling numbers are through the roof, his defensive positioning is actually quite poor. And that's because he tries to aggressively push the ball instead of understanding the phases of play that's going on in front of him. Koby is young. I've been saying, okay, I had said this and I got destroyed by Saeed, by the way. I had said this. I said, Garnacho, Koby, and any young players that were coming in, the first thing that they should do before they even step into our team should be they have to have gone on loan somewhere. Get enough game time, go to the championship, get absolutely bodied. When you come back, you have an understanding of what the game's going to be like. And to me, Koby needs to go on loan. I don't think he's good enough for the current team, but we can't do that because we just don't have enough bodies. So until we get bodies in, he just
guys,
stays.
you know, Be Cool makes a good point here. Do you think it's possible that Casemiro actually doesn't start against West Ham because it's two games in? No, it's just because it's two games in quick succession. Do you think Mainoo actually starts in this game? Because listen, West Ham isn't the hottest team in the world. But, I mean, although I would agree that this is a banana skin for us because of Nuno, right? So we should respect this game. But I think, look, if everything we're hearing in the background, right, Nelson? I mean, I'm with you in the sense that maybe he's not good enough right now. But we haven't seen the training videos. We haven't seen what he's doing in the background. And it's been a while since we've seen him last, because I think for the Tottenham game, I think he picked up a knock or something. So he wasn't even in the squad. I just feel like, is there a chance that he actually plays Mainoo against West Ham for
But
this amount of minutes?
I don't think Mainoo
in fairness to Koby, sorry, Nelson. In fairness to Koby, and just to also be balanced or more honest, in that we shouldn't be judging him too harshly based on that Grimsby game. Because there were so many players that were different there. And Grimsby, this was their cup final game, and it was away from home, etc. A midweek game, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So there's a lot of pressure to perform, but at the same time play within in the team. So to be fair to Koby, it's a good shot on the West Ham one, because Casemiro played 90 minutes. He played the whole game. Right, the recovery would take at least 3 days. Then you wouldn't have training then. So I think that's a good call. But would that mean it can't be a Bruno Koby midfield?
No, it has to be Ugarte. It has to be Ugarte.
It will be Ugarte, but I just wonder, you know, is because if you look at Amram, right, he's been hyper cognizant about the injury problems. Right, he will not risk playing Mount a minute more than he thinks he can play in the game. He won't risk playing Casemiro a minute more than he thinks he can play in the game. Whenever the intensity is high, or there's a situation where, you know, we could potentially be in you know, in some sort of mud, he seems to get them out. Now, I will say this: Crystal Palace was probably one of our higher intensity opponents we faced throughout the season. And he kept Casemiro on the pitch. He kept Bruno on the pitch for 90 minutes. So after playing 90 minutes, after coming back from an international break and all that, is it possible that he gives Mainoo a bit more game time? I do agree with you. I think Ugarte looks like the first starting player, but I'm just saying, like, there's maybe he goes with more defensive wing backs to cover for the midfield being weaker defensively, or something like that. He could start Dorgu and Mazraoui, which would be our more defensive wing backs on both sides.
Or Nelson's point that Koby's defensive positioning, or even in a sense understanding, must improve. And Amarim has been working with him on that, and now gives him a chance to show it, and literally plays. So he doesn't. So him and Bruno play like a double pivot in a sense. That the one goes, the other stays and plays a defensive role. Many of the times it's Bruno who plays the more attacking role, but at times Koby runs in late, and he's better at running in late. In that regard, that you could have. In a different way, you could have not a Ugarte with a Koby Bruno setup, and Koby showing that, okay, I've learned certain things. That would also prove quite interesting, because the Nuno thing on West Ham, his teams are always difficult to break down for United. All his teams that he's ever coached, they're so Portuguese in many ways. So I don't know. It's a cool one.
Noman wanted to say something. I think Noman wanted to say something.
I think the thing is, Koby, as far as I remember, Koby was never supposed to be a CDM. He was supposed to be a ball carrier, and Ugarte was brought to Manchester for one specific thing, that Koby cannot do the dirty work that a CDM has to do. So Ugarte was there to do the dirty work for him, while Koby was going to carry the ball, pass the ball. So I think judging Koby by his defensive ability isn't necessarily fair. But also,
but Noman, hold on 1 second. I will say one thing though. Bruno has never been asked to do defensive work, right? But this season in that position, he is doing defensive work. So he's being asked to play a position he's never played before, that he's not comfortable with. And you could argue that the defensive work that Bruno's doing is closer to Koby's wheelhouse than it is to Bruno's wheelhouse, right?
Wait. I think I disagree with that. I think
yes.
Bruno always was a good a presser. He wasn't like a good defensive player.
When you're saying, I'm saying defensive numbers, I'm saying tackles, interceptions, blocks.
Yeah, but that's how you view. That's one set of things or facet of things. If you decide that your front players, because he played as a 10 in previous managers, he was supposed to be the first trigger of our press. He used to push forward, and then other players.
But pressures are not okay. So when I say, I'm telling you, I'm clarifying my point, Nelson, and saying that I'm talking about the defensive work off the ball, right? And not in the pressing sense, not in the final third. I'm saying middle third and defensive third. Because if you look at, let me give you a comparison. Look at Amad Diallo. Diallo at right wing back, his defensive work relies mostly on the pressures, on the stuff that you're saying Bruno used to do for other managers as well. And Bruno, in previous managers, it's not that he didn't want to do defensive work, because sometimes he would go back and put the tackles in. It just wasn't part of his responsibility, just like it wasn't part of Koby's responsibility under Ten Hag to do much of the defensive work. But now that Bruno's being asked to do that, he doesn't play the Hollywood passes. He's much more assured in possession, and he's doing a bit more of the defensive work in terms of tackles and interceptions. Still not at Casemiro level, but he's doing his job, right? So when Koby comes in, I do agree it's harsh for us to judge him in the Casemiro role, because defensively he's nowhere near Casemiro, and that's not part of his game. He used to be a striker in the U team as well, right? So, we're talking about many differences that he's had to learn. But for me, even if he gives us what Bruno's giving us defensively in the Casemiro role, and we have maybe Mazraoui and the defenders having more defensive responsibility, I think that could be something that works. I wouldn't mind seeing him against West Ham if Casemiro can't play.
I as Sherpa specified, I think Nuno's teams are built to do one thing specifically, and it's just defend heavily and play counterattacking football.
Counterattack, yeah.
And that's Mainoo's worst game. I think Ugarte actually is a good shot that game. I think Ugarte is, in my opinion, the only one I would even think about playing in that game, personally.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm saying despite all the warnings, right? I'm not saying that hey, this is going to be an easy game. Let's
Yeah.
play Mainoo and he's going to be good. I agree. It is a risk, but at the same time, at some point we're going to have to give Koby some game time if we don't want him to leave in
100%.
January.
Yeah.
And I tell me another game that you see is going to be easier than this one, because you would agree
Wolves?
every
I think
game.
Wolves. You wouldn't play him against Wolves? You think he can?
No, I'm just saying. I think people are also undervaluing. Listen, this is a team that has 0 wins. You don't think they're going to be hungry to come and get a win against us at home?
They're hungry against every team now.
Yeah, so exactly. They haven't eaten, right? So they're perpetually hungry. And I agree with you. I think yeah, I'm just gonna mute Sherpa while he's not talking, because there's some feedback. But yeah, so I think for me, like, the problem is, Nelson, I think we're all on the same page with this one.
Yeah.
Is I don't think you're saying you don't want Koby to play.
No.
Right? You're just saying that based on the concerns you have, Ugarte might suit better. But you do agree that, Ugarte just scares me on the ball. Like, he can't make anything but a 5-yard pass.
Yeah.
Right. And he seems to try to get rid of it so quickly. And one of the things, in fact, you have highlighted repeatedly, if I'm getting my memory correctly, is that one of the problems the team has is that the ball moves forward very quickly. Right. It gets into players' feet. It gets into the forwards very quickly. So they almost don't know where the other players are going to be, or they haven't arrived yet. And we're almost like running faster than our legs allow in a way with that. And Ugarte is exactly that player. He will pass it so quickly, he won't take any patience before somebody gets there. So yes, Ugarte gives us the defensive work like he did against City, but we lost that game 3-0. Right.
And I would add as well.
Yes.
Sorry, go for it, Andy.
So the defensive work that Koby doesn't give you, he is more assured than Ugarte is, right? And he is a progressive carrier of the ball. So Amram would need to figure something out with the rest of the team to make him work. But I think that same problem exists with Ugarte as well. We need to figure something out whenever Ugarte plays.
And I would add that in the Crystal Palace game, one of the things I noticed, and I may not have the technical terms for it, that our 2 forwards and even our wing backs inverted a lot more, so they could be closer in a sense to Xerxes, and it meant we were more compact. Our players were closer to each other. I would think that maybe Martinez will play, and Martinez or Butcher would also help out with the Koby. I do think Koby's tackling is fine enough, but it's a matter of does he have an outlet pass with players on top of him. So there has to be somebody closer. That's what I'm talking about, our wingbacks inverting a bit, helping out in midfield and so forth. And even Bruno doing that. But it would then mean, how do you stretch to create goals? How do you stretch that low and mid block of a Nunes team? Because where would you create the space? And the space would mean at times you're going to have some clever forwards or wingbacks who will be the odd person out in the space, which a pass can go to. But I think, Nelson, you made me think of this. I didn't think of it. That you could have a Bruno, Koby midfield. And that would be cool to see, because it would mean Koby's learning and he's no more just competing for one position.
Yeah.
And he can play more different roles, which would help. I do agree with you on the loan in a sense, but I always wonder where for a player this a little bit older,
How old is he? I thought he was 20.
No, but a little bit older in terms of being in the limelight, being in the first team.
Oh, I see what you mean.
In that kind of sense, right?
Yeah,
so where are you going to go? You're going to go to Fulham. Where you can't go to what our team is, that the Swiss team that is it the Swiss team or whatever that we send?
That seems terrible. The team in,
guys, my Pokeball is working.
Why? What happened? I wasn't here for a second.
Look at this. This is literally 2 chats ago.
Get out. Yeah. That's crazy.
I thought you saw that and you joined.
I swear on my life I didn't. I just got a little bit of time free. But yeah.
Look at Sean flexing his array of microphones. Didn't you have a different one last time?
I do actually.
Yeah.
I got this thing, but it was just a little bit too phallic for my liking. So
Oh yeah.
So I should actually use this one, hey?
yeah, you should.
Yeah.
You know what you should do? You should use the webcam mic, but just hold it as if you're talking with that one.
Oh yeah. We'll see. We'll take a look at your nose hairs. Tell you what needs trimming.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
Put you with an edge. Even does manicures and pedicures and vanity shows.
No, I'm just a consultant. I will tell you where to go and what you need to do. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do any of that stuff. Not get my own hands dirty. Just tell you what to do. Kerwin says, "Big up, Shant." Man, none of these guys want to turn on their camera. You guys are acting. You guys are acting like early Shant. Okay, you know how shy he was. He's like, "Oh, guys, my camera isn't good enough."
No, but
really-
I couldn't find, like, this is just like a stupid webcam. So it's like when you have certain like standards, you don't want to like just like lower it. But
right.
then I got over it. I was just
What are you saying, Shanti?
Wait, what are you
nothing.
trying to
I
say?
think you're going. No.
Tweeting
Donovan,
me and
that's
now-
that's an AI. That's an AI filter, right? And same with,
No.
you guys are going for the
That's
aesthetic,
Shanti.
right?
Are you in marketing or sales and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like Logitech webcam. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah.
No, but it's a different. I talked a big game about like, oh, I have a nice setup and all this shit, so I don't want to go and be like, what do you guys think?
Wow.
And you're just like,
That's
okay,
why I
dude,
said
come on.
early Shant. Okay, early
yeah.
Shant was shy and humble, and new Shant is whatever this is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay, sure.
Rishi's here.
But
Rishi's
Sean, the fact that Sean shops at Erewhon, it makes sense that he didn't want to turn his camera on till everything was just right. So he's a man who cares about his image, right? And Sean, I have to say,
Yeah.
I have
Okay.
to say, with your hat on, you kind of remind me of Bradley Cooper, you know.
I've gotten that
Yeah,
before.
actually, it's
I've
not
gotten that
correct,
before. Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
Bradley Cooper in The Hangover, obviously, after the night.
Again, Rishi, my eyes are up here. Please.
Well, with that giant mic in your face, your eyes are all we can see, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah, so much for avoiding the phallic thing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anyways, guys, we have lost 6 people talking about Sean's beauty.
Thank God. Thank
so,
God. So you guys will stop. Thank you.
Someone says, can we beat City to Elliot Anderson?
No,
Bro, it's like asking, can I beat Usain Bolt in a race? Like, no. Okay.
if City,
No, but you can,
I
Andy.
think
You
we
can,
can-
Andy.
no,
You
no,
can.
no.
You can. You can beat
no,
Usain Bolt in a race. If he's in the grave, you can definitely beat Usain Bolt in a race,
there's a broken leg, probably. Yeah, that's the
right?
only thing.
So why not?
But I
Because
think we can beat
guys,
anybody.
I
we
think
can beat
see, look at the
anybody.
look at the kind of players that other teams have signed. Sherpa, was it you who said that? Look at the quality when you and Andy were having that one-on-one conversation early on. You said that the quality of the league is so high, the competition is so much for the players that any team can sign anyone, right? You've seen people like Villa turn up and hand £120,000 contracts to players. You had Musa Diaby from Leverkusen.
Ian Maatsen is making that much. Ian Maatsen is making
Ian
that much.
Maatsen is making that money. He came from Chelsea, right? They signed him for £37 million. Musa Diaby, if I'm not wrong, came from Leverkusen and he was on £140,000, right? They bought who was that? Who was that
Even
centre back? Pau
Arsenal have been
Torres.
buying players from Real Madrid. I mean, even Arsenal have been buying or getting players on loan from Real
Yeah.
Madrid. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a small.
So True. I think anyone can beat anyone. And if you look at the way that that City are playing now, they've got that young kid Nico Gonzalez, who looks like he could be half a player, right? Looks like he could be a good player, but he's not get up to the speed of the league. He's not getting the opportunities to play. And if Rodri plays, I doubt he'll play along with Rodri. Right? All those things are there. So Elliot Anderson looks at City, and if we make a compelling enough argument for him to join, I don't see why he wouldn't be interested in joining us. Look at the kind of teams that we've beaten. We were 15th
But
last
also,
season.
Rishi, talk about City. I mean, if you want to talk about like growth and longevity, look at how they treated Trafford. Look at how they're treating Reinders. You have players that are going there that are highly touted with the ability to put themselves on a platform, and then for one reason or another, they're being kind of shunted for these players that Pep just trusts a little bit more in those positions. And I agree with you. It doesn't like take anything away from like what Nico Gonzalez could be, what Reinders could be, but it seems like once again, if you don't map your trajectory properly, you could fall victim to whatever the current, system or strata is.
Can I just piggyback on your point there? Because who's to say they buy Elliot Anderson on July 1st and then Bellingham becomes available from Real Madrid,
Yeah.
and they don't
100%.
go sign
Oh,
Real Madrid?
absolutely.
They don't go sign him, and then Elliot Anderson's on the bench, right, in the same window, just like they did with Trafford and Donnarumma.
And look at who we signed when we were 15th.
Yeah.
Who we got. The project that was explained to them, what excited them about it, besides the fact that the moment you sign for Manchester United, your image and everything, it's worth so much more. Your Twitter account goes, or X account goes out of the roof.
Endorsements, everything, yeah.
Exactly, all of those things. And so the United project is an exciting project now. Whilst you know that Pep is going to be there for a long time, but he looks bored.
But Donovan,
Pep
just
looks
to
bored.
interject, I think the benefit of the current sporting structure is that instead of leading with that, which is what Woodwardian and Murtaugh used to do, people are like, "Why are you telling me about social media? Why are you telling me about global impact? Well, you tell me about the footballing structure." And that, there you go. We got a 7th guest.
Yeah, we got guest number 7. Mila, what do you have to say about Ed Woodward and John Murtaugh? Any words?
Oh my gosh.
In a
like, it's
WhatsApp,
better to be
in the messenger
silent.
group, we call
Murtaugh
Murtaugh and Woodward Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
We call them Dumb and Dumber. That
Yeah.
they Dumb and Dumber messed up our club.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And I think this is what happens when you get like bankers and like VCs to look at like the scale of something.
Bankers with a W.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go
So-
ahead. Sorry, Sean.
No, it's fine. I again, Ineos are not perfect. I have major qualms with, how they integrated themselves and just kind of just culled so many like institutional things that we had going for us. I think Rishi and I got to have a discussion about impact of academy, because I think when the sporting project is not firing on all cylinders, that's once again a luxury. You shouldn't just expect your academy players to go into your starting 11. They need to prove that it is a privilege to play for Manchester United. And right now, we are not really putting the right structure in place to have a proper, launch pad for these youth. So other academies are going to be looking a lot more attractive than what Carrington's having, regardless of how good we have players, in the academy. I agree. Like JJ Gabriel is amazing. He looks like Neymar regen. He looks fantastic. But where's that going to like land? He's going to be a 10 in Amram system, provided that he's still here by the time he gets onto the pitch. So hopefully we see him in the FA Cup. Hopefully we see some type of like, integration of him. But I'm very, there's a lot of thoughts on my mind. I want to talk
I
about
think all the noises I'm hearing about JJ Gabriel, bro, I think he's gonna think he's too big for the club,
100%.
and he's gonna push for a move. Like that's all the stuff I'm seeing. Because you see him right now at 15, no doubt he's got crazy talent. The way he's got close control, and actually he's taller than Neymar, right? Isn't he taller than Neymar? He looks taller than Neymar, and he looks like he has a bigger frame as well. So when he fills out, he could really be a great player. But I just feel like he's gonna want to move to like a Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern, any team.
Everyone says that. Everyone says that. I don't think so. He may move there. I just think let's enjoy him. Let's give him the number 7 shirt. Let him come in a little bit earlier.
Too early. Look at how the 7 eluded Garnacho for so long, and then watch at how that became his personality. He became Android 49 with the hair and everything because he couldn't get the 7. He got the 7 times 7, and then he got the 17. Did he have 17? I forgot. Whatever. Anyways.
Hello, Ankit. Sorry, we didn't even greet you when you came.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Hi, Ankit. What do you think about the whole the Koby situation? I know we've got into that conversation, but I guess it dovetails nicely with Anderson coming to the club, right? Because you're looking right now. I mean, if I was Koby Mainoo and I'm hearing all these links to Anderson and Baleba and Wharton, I'm thinking, dude, this guy isn't picking me over Bruno and Casemiro, and you're talking about signing 2 or 3 better midfielders than those guys. Where the hell am I going to get any game time? So what do you think, Ankit?
I think right now the odds are not in favor of Mainoo. I think he does want. Basically, right now his form is also not there. I know he's not getting enough game time, but whatever game time he does get, he's not shown that he can be that player yet. So
Could
for
you
that reason,
turn up your volume in any way from your side for your mic, because it's a little quiet on my side.
I mean,
Okay, Ankit will come back, but I think, was it Sean? You were saying something
Yeah,
before that.
I wanted to talk about Mainoo as it relates to Amram's midfield, right? So I wrote up some thoughts on this actually. It was too long for me to post into the Discord, so I'm just gonna
What do you mean too long? I made the channel for you, bro,
I
and you're telling me
know,
it's
I
too
know.
long.
10,000 characters too long, so I got to figure out a different way. But
Just do.
I'm gonna give my elevator pitch on what I believe
Okay,
like
let's go.
Mainoo is. Okay?
Okay.
So I think for all the qualities I said in the chat earlier, he's press resistant. He's super technical. He has an amazing like eye test when you see him play. He's like the perfect like five-a-side player. But in terms of what we have in the team, I view him as a player that can connect like different triangles and different things when he's in a more advanced position. Right now, he's not displacing either Acuna or Mbumo when it comes to that, because those guys also have much more lethal final attack and third ability when it comes to having a shot on them, regardless of what we've seen, like his, amazing goals. And if we're going to compare him to what we even have right now in the midfield, I think the problem with Bruno is that the only way to get Bruno in the team is to give him the freedom of space to operate. But the issue is his best midfield pairing also likes to roam a little bit and doesn't have the positional discipline to be a sitter or an anchor. So Casemiro right now is kind of operating, kind of like moving in different spaces. And then Bruno, when he has so much time to create, we need players in Amarin's system that are either both ball winners that can cover big amounts of space, that can progress the ball either with their passing range or with the progression. That's why a lot of this like discussion about, what's the best fit? Anderson, Wharton, Baleba, Kamara, all this stuff is like, well, any of them are going to be better than what we have so far. And Bruno's output is great despite his inconsistency with Amarim's system right now. So I have a lot more I want to say with that, but it's like, we're missing that Rodri, we're missing that Declan Rice, we're missing that type of like patience metronome, the player that can then fill in, come back in. And that's why I'm so like bullish on a Warden or an Anderson, because they provide some aspects of that control that we're missing in the midfield. Because if we're in a firing Amarim system and the wingbacks are going forward, you need players to operate in those vacated spaces. So they're either going to be a tremendous interceptor, which is what I believe Anderson is, not Anderson, a Wharton is, or they're going to be good at dual winning, ball winning, or have that aggression and engine that Anderson provides and that other players that are aforementioned on there provide. So that's kind of like my whole belief that I think Mainoo is a fantastic player in like a midfield three, which he has the ability to connect different passes, the ability to, if you want to have a fullback go forward, great. But in this system, if we're not going to be changing it to a four at the back, or we're not going to like put him in a position where he's higher up so that he can kind of, make the use of that like technical press resistance, he doesn't have the engine. He doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have really the intensity needed to play in this system as it is right now.
I think you guys have been
Nelson,
really,
hold on.
Okay,
Let's get Ankit's thought. Yeah, because he was in the middle of his thoughts earlier. You have any reaction to what Sean just said?
can you hear me clearly? First of all.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So I think Sean has that's actually my thought frame of mind when it comes to Mainoo. I think that just to add to that, I don't think Mainoo complements any of the midfields we have. And that could be one of the reasons why he doesn't get starting game time that much, because I don't think he goes well with Casemiro or Ugarte. And we do need a player that can complement his limitations. And right now his limitations are, as Sean said, pace, especially, and the agility. There are so many things he excels at, but the things that are limited to is the one that's not complementing Amarin's system right now. And I think that's probably the reason why he doesn't get that much game time. even if we were to give him that much game time, we've seen in the Grimsby game, like sometimes he falls ineffective, and I think that's the puzzle that they're trying to solve. Until then, I don't think he's going to get that much game time. I think that's my
Ankit, can
opinion
I
on that.
just, sorry to interrupt you, but can I just
Yeah.
ask you a question regarding what you just said? You said there are so many things that Kobe excels in. Can you just list the things that you think he's good at and how you think, like in case we have to shoehorn Mainoo into this system, what are the things that a complementary player or players around him would need to do? Because let's address this, right? Because a lot of people say that I think Kobe is this and I think Kobe is that, and this is what he's done for us. So
I'm
if you could
bored.
just quickly tell us what you think he's good at.
Yeah. So two of the most important things I think he's good at is, first of all, he's a really good ball carrier. I think he's not shown enough of that, but like when he has, you could see the eliteness in him as a ball carrier. The second one is his vision. He actually can see the pitch before he can make a decision. And so when the parts where we see that he looks really good is because he's already seen the frame of the pitch before he made a move. And I think that's one of the more rarer qualities in a midfielder. I think those two itself
Sorry, Ankit. Do you
deserve.
mean that from a passing perspective and vision, or do you mean that in terms of press resistance? Because those are two
Um,
different, like
so not no,
images of the pitch.
yeah, I would say press resistance rather than passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's missing on the passing side. That's one of his
Correct.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
'Cause
hey,
he's-
hey, 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 wait. I have no.
No, Nelson. I know exactly what you're gonna
Oh,
say, bro. You're gonna
please.
say
I
he's one of the
also want
best
to
close
cut
range
you, but
Holy
defenders.
Nelson go
shit.
first.
Hold on.
I have
I know
never
exactly what
seen-
Nelson's gonna
this
say.
is nuts.
I know exactly
What?
what Nelson's gonna say. He's gonna say he's one of our best short passers, best
Yeah,
short
but short
pass and
passing
move.
is not like
that's not what we're talking
No,
about.
no,
For
no. I
vision,
will
you
not.
need
I will
vision.
not stand for this, guys. Nelson has been suppressed for many, many minutes.
I haven't
The
said. I've
the
been
spring has been
I've
under a
no,
lot
God
of
bless
pressure.
you.
You need to
God
release
bless
it.
you. No, God
I've
bless
just
you.
been-
God bless
You
you.
need to release
slowly-
it.
I've been slowly listening
release
to
is needed.
ridiculous arguments.
It's scandalous.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. I understand in this current situation, the way we're playing, Shant actually stated it. The problem is the midfield partnership that Kobe needs. We don't have right now.
We don't.
We don't have the guy whose positioning in terms of defensive positioning is elite. I think Casemiro has the ability to read the game at an elite level, but doesn't have the legs to cover it. So when you have a Mainoo who's going to be bombing forward a lot more than Bruno, by the way, in terms of, because Bruno passes progressively. While on the other hand, Mainoo is a progressive carrier. You were asking Rishi, what does Mainoo excel in? He's in the 91 percentile of dribbling for central midfielders and central defensive midfielders. He's actually a better dribbler than Baleba. The thing that Baleba has, for sure, is better defensive awareness. He's a better defensive player with the dribbling.
And
But in terms of-
explosiveness and pace.
Exactly, and pace.
That's so that's what we're saying is like, what are we measuring as more importance? Because as we've seen, Mainoo, you have those FB refs, you have like what it is with regards to his percentage.
Yeah.
What we see on the pitch is, okay, like we have that whole meme of him at City, like skinning, I forgot who it was in the midfield. And then you have Pep doing like the Zidane.
So,
like,
Shorty,
oh,
when do you see Mainoo? You see, because both of you,
Mhm.
Ankit and you, are talking about Mainoo
Mhm.
like you see him playing all the time.
I
Because
have-
I don't
Yeah, we have.
understand. No, you have seen him win. Which games?
Time.
in
Liverpool.
his cameos
It's-
in different positions last year.
Little cameos.
Yeah. So but what I'm saying is he is not
You
shown.
can't. No, all I'm saying is that it's not that I totally disagree with you, but I think that you're taking too little information, and you're stretching it like. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you're making it seem like Mainoo can't evolve. He can't change. That this is it. He cannot fit in this current midfield how it is. This is not because I'm sure he's learning things in the practice pitch and so forth. He's gonna come and play at some stage, and he's gonna show different things. Because where you correct what we have seen of him over the little time, he may not necessarily fit into it now. But it's not something that you're gonna have to say that It is stuck here now. This is it. Therefore, we need to get rid of him. That makes no sense.
No, I
It's
haven't said
illogical.
no. I actually, that's what I'm saying. I'm arguing that I don't think we should get rid of him. The arguments that other people are saying that there are things that he doesn't excel in. It's one of the things I find about us fans do, which is we like pointing out in our players the weaknesses as opposed to looking at their strengths.
Yeah.
Whenever we look at Koby's strengths are, and he's actually one of the only midfielders we have who can dribble. He's the only one. He's also the only one who excels at short passing. Because I actually think Bruno's best play is not short passing. It's medium to long range.
100%.
So whenever we're discussing all these things, we have adapted our team to obviously the best player we have, which is Bruno. That and I actually want that to be the case. But this idea that we can actually play Mainoo, you bring in Wharton, for instance. We were talking about Wharton. You bring in Wharton, Mainoo improves immediately.
Yep.
You will see Mainoo play better.
Yep.
But it's just because you have someone like a Wharton. But again, this is supposed to be a squad team that we're building.
Nelson, what did you disagree with? Because nobody said
No,
sell
I don't think there's a disagreement. I think I think he's talking about the squad composition.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't want to speak for you.
Go ahead.
No, you're speaking for yourself.
Yeah. So no, but Nelson and I we can like tag team this because I completely agree.
We're on the same page, yeah.
Yeah. With regards to how the team is set up and what we're getting and maximizing, Amram's actually been pretty adaptable because if he's going to play in this 3-4-2-1, this is how the setup's going to look. Now, in this schema, I guess the best way you're going to get Mainoo is put him in the 10. Or you're going to be crazy, put him at the 9.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'll tell you what, Sean. I'll tell you what. In terms of what I see from Mainoo, and I'll agree with Nelson in this point. The reason we need to listen to Amram more, right? When Amram says that he has to compete with Bruno, he's not just saying Bruno the player, Bruno the 31-year-old experienced midfielder. He's saying Bruno in the sense that the way which Bruno plays in this team, because Bruno gets forward a lot. He plays a diamond midfield, right? Because the wingbacks form the left and right side of the diamond, and then Bruno actually goes forward, and Casemiro is the base of the diamond, right? And so Koby Mainoo, like Nelson said, will want to get forward a lot more. I think he's more effective going from the midfield into the final third than starting in the final third, right? Because if he's playing in the 10, he might do that a bit more often. Now, I know like Cunha and Mbeumo, for example, drop deep in the half spaces and then carry the ball forward. So he can do that role, but I still think he needs to be in the midfield. So I think we're all in agreement. I'm just trying to figure out what Nelson disagreed with.
But no, so I've got a question. And now I know we're going to go into madness here.
Okay,
do you guys, how do we rate Mason Mount in this team? Because he's a player I don't rate, by the way. So I want us to actually have this discussion. How do we rate Mount? And I want to hear Donovan, because that's a player I don't rate. But I want to hear what people are saying.
What sense are you saying?
But you got to show your hand first. You got to say why you don't rate him.
In any sense, no, because I actually don't respect anything of his game. You asked about the games that we're winning. Yeah, there's nothing in his game that I rate. If you're an attacking player and your best stat is defensive, what are we doing? If you're a defensive player and your best stat is attacking, because I hear a lot of people don't like Mainoo, because Mainoo is an attacking player who's being being asked to play in a central defensive midfield point of view. If you're saying Mount is a good player, but his only stats are from his defensive points of view, not his attacking, he scored a wonderful goal, an excellent goal. Outside of that goal, what else did Mount do that game?
Robert is livid in the background.
You like money? Oh my days! I can't.
You wanna? Okay, can I answer? Can I answer
yes,
this question from Nelson? Okay.
Yeah.
Mason Mount is. I looked at his stats from 2 seasons ago for yesterday's members only video. I was looking at it for some reason, and he underperformed his XG massively. He was in fact one of the biggest underperformers of his XG.
Okay.
Mason Mount at Chelsea. If you want to look at his stats and say he was good at this, he was bad at that, it's hard to do that. He's one of those players that doesn't jump off the stat sheet. He's one of those players that, for me, is very intelligent and doesn't get the credit for his intelligence. The second thing he's good at is at that 10 role, Amram wanted Cunha from the beginning of the season to do a lot of the defensive work, right? And I don't mean defensive like putting in tackles, putting in interceptions, putting in clearances. I mean being a right body at the right place at the right time, right? And what I mean is if you have a left winger and a left back trying to double team our a right center back and our wing back, right? We need an extra body in there to make sure that they don't take advantage of us, right? And that's exactly the thing, by the way, that Slot failed to do with Liverpool. But I think I'm more of a Liverpool hater than Sherpa gives me credit for, by the way. But I'll say this: so Mason Mount, for me, he is a very tactically intelligent player. You said this about Dallo yesterday, Nelson. I'm pretty sure you said, "Oh, Dallo is one of the best trainers in the world. Why is he playing like shit on the pitch? Because it's Amram's fault." Well, so is Mason Mount. Every coach loves Mason Mount. Every single coach vouches for him. With their life, and he can do whatever the coach asks him to do. He doesn't have the technical gifts, so you look at him and you say he doesn't have anything that he excels in, but he is a very important player for any coach that wants to play any system. And that's my point. You asked me what he's good at, that's what he's good at.
I haven't heard an answer here. I've heard he's a technically good player, and that's it.
No. I think in our team, in this team right now, Nelson, it's your point that you made earlier, and you agreed with me when I agreed with you. Mason Mount has got not just intelligence, he's got intelligence because of experience. And this team is crying out for experience.
Yeah.
He really is. Yeah. And across that front line, and even to the point of the midfield. Yeah. In that sense. So if we lose out on a Bruno, your first point of call would be Mason Mount. If you lose out on Acuna, your first point of call would be Mason Mount. When we lost out on Sesko and we weren't sure about Xerxes, your first point of call was Mason Mount. Those types of things, you don't get a player like that in a hurry. You really do not. And that's why Amarin did not mind taking the time that he builds up his recovery from injury.
This is a great point. He knows how to start a press. Right?
Yes,
he knows how to start a. He's an excellent presser from the front. So you want to hear an answer? He's technically excellent. He's very intelligent. He shows intensity, and that's not. Listen, you just said when I talked about Bruno that he hasn't been asked to do the defensive work. The first thing you said was you raised your hand and you said, "Oh, he does all the pressing. He leads the press for us." That's exactly what Mount does. That is the defensive work that he does. So he's not defending like we're asking Koby to defend.
Let me answer. So, let me respond to that.
Before you come, I just want to answer Ami Khan, who asked in the chat, that a lot of these things happen in training. In passing vision for Koby or whatever is because you get used to players and you get used to doing certain things and you don't look up.
So I want Nelson to respond to this, but I want to say this. Our question is not, do we sell Mainoo in the January window or summer window? Our question is, how do we get his head back on the ground and understand that he needs to bide his time, maybe go out, get some experience or whatever. But if he's needed for the club, we're going to use him for the club because he has a contract with the club. Do you understand? That's all I'm saying. He can grow and develop as a player and do all those things. And if he decides so much that he doesn't see a future at Manchester United, he can go and pursue his options elsewhere. But we need to get out of this mentality that we're not highlighting our academy stars' greatest, qualities. Because at the end of the day, if he's not going to show the industry or engine that Mount is providing, or the wisdom or the know-how because he hasn't developed enough of that, then, I'm sorry, it's not my problem.
Sean, Nelson, I want to hear from you, but before you do, I want to officially get Robert onto the stream.
Yeah.
And then Nelson.
President Robert in the house.
No one to hear Robert. Continue, Robert.
Are you sure? Okay, you sure you don't want to?
No. I want to hear Robert because Robert said he has a 100% clear Mason Mount argument. So I want to hear that.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
When it comes to Mason Mount, if there's one player can put in the same category, not because they're the same player or anything, just how their career has been, it's this guy, Reece James. Let's look at Reece James last season, okay? Reece James was getting injured. I think he was injured for so long. He was injured for so long that the amount of time he was injured was longer than the amount of time he was playing. And when he played, he actually got injured during the matches, so he couldn't complete the matches, right?
Okay.
So if you come into Mason Mount, and the way Andy has said that you can't look at the stats and say that Mason Mount is good at this, because we can all agree that Mason Mount is actually a class player. You don't you don't make a Champions League final squad if you are not actually a class player. For me, I think the injuries are actually holding Mason Mount back, because if Mason Mount is fully fit for, let's say, even more than a season, you guys, you'll stop speaking ill of Mason Mount. That is what I'm going to say, because Mason Mount was one of my favorite players during lockdown, and when he played, I was like, this guy is just quality. This guy is just quality. I was like, this guy is class, because he's the same. I don't want to say it's like a Grealish, because Grealish is a kind of player is big fish in a small pond. That's how he drives. He's not the kind of player where you can be a small fish in a big pond. So I can't accept this Mason Mount land. I just can't. And let me just stop there, okay? Let me hear what Nelson has to say. Or he's left.
So your argument is no, sorry, my mic had to do something for work, so I had to walk away. I was listening. So your argument was you compared him to Reece James, first of all, the best right back in the league. That's crazy. And then you followed up with the fact that you said he won he was a main player in the Champions League run. I agree. He actually was. And by the way, at that point, Tuchel played him in a style of play that actually showed his.
They were playing a 3 at the back, and he was playing in the 10. He was playing the right 10 spot in that team.
The right 10 spot. And who was his right back? Or his right wing back? It was James. Reece James, by the way, in that tournament, Reece James was by far the best player. Like in that Chelsea team, was the best player. Because every single time what Mainoo used to do was go into the traditional 10 spot, and the whole wing was bombing forward by Reece James. But I'm looking at Mount in this team and the aspects in the game in this team. And to me, it is clear Cunha is a clear upgrade on Mount. Every single thing that we're talking about, Cunha is a better dribbler. Cunha is a better
Cunha, when he does the defensive work, is an upgrade on Mount.
Pardon me? Say that again?
You can't say it's a clear upgrade, because they're not, I don't want to say, because they're not typically the same kind of player. Because if you're talking upgrade, Cunha is different from the kind of player Mason Mount is, because Mason Mount seems to be somebody who gels your team in certain ways where a player like Cunha maybe cannot or maybe can. Okay, they perform typically almost the same role, but they're not the same kind of player. I don't know whether you guys actually get me when I say that.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just want to hear that one more time. You guys are saying Mount is. Are you saying Mount is on the same tier of Cunha?
No. We're saying Mount. Hold on, Nelson. Let me answer that. Right.
Yeah.
I think when the season started, Šeško wasn't ready yet, and that's why Mount was starting in the team. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the ideal front three, whether it's because of the transfer pressure, whether it's because of the money we spent, Mount is not Amram's player. Right. So even if he loves him, likes him, he has to give Šeško, ahead of him. And I agree, Cunha and Mbeumo, better players than him. That's because of injury or whatever you want to call it. Right. Cunha right now in this team, Amram wanted him to do the same pressures, leading the press, tracking back. Those things he wanted Cunha to do, but he wasn't doing it. So Mount is better than Cunha at those things. And because Cunha wasn't doing it, he actually got dropped from the Sunderland game. In fact, the only game that we kept a clean sheet this season was when Mount first came into the team in that left-hand role. We haven't kept a single other game with a clean sheet. And we did that against Sunderland, who, by the way, scored 2 goals against Arsenal. Right? So what I'm saying is Mount is a glue type of player. You asked me, the question started, by the way, we went into Reece James and him being the best player at Chelsea. The question started with you saying, tell me one thing Mount does well. And I think he's the glue. He's the player that makes the squad better. And I'm not saying he's better than Cunha. I'm not saying he's better than Mbeumo or anything crazy like that. But he's better than Mainoo right now. He's giving us a lot more than Mainoo is.
So he's a vibes guy. That's the
argument. His intelligence, his decision making is better than Mainoo.
Nelson, you're not listening, man.
No, I'm listening. My problem is you're not making a football argument. You're making an argument. 1 second. Hey, Sean. I've heard all of you talk because I'm
No,
trying to
but
make
hold
it
on,
clear.
Nelson, hold
What's
on.
going on?
You came out and said
Yeah.
before you don't want to hear stats for stats reason, and
No,
now you're
okay.
hearing a player
No.
who doesn't have any stats that pop, and you're telling me
Oh,
give me the
Cunha?
stats.
Are we talking about Cunha or we're talking about Mount?
We're talking about Mount. You're saying there's no stats
okay.
that pop
There's
for
no-
him, so he's just a vibes
Yes.
guy. That I'm not
He's a
gonna
vibes
sit
guy.
here and take that.
He's a vibes guy. His number one thing is tackles. 92 in the 92 percentile of an attacking midfielder for tackles. Everything else, he scored 2 goals, which by the way, one was a banger. But have you noticed whenever we play Mount, guys, just so these are the things that we don't talk about. In the Crystal Palace game, though we won, it was until the 72nd minute that we had a touch in the box from open play. 72nd. Do you know one of the things Cunha does is his carrying of the ball to the final third is one of the reasons why we've been scoring a lot more.
Bro, you're saying he's got tackles and that's the only thing that's
tackles.
impressive
That's
about
a-
him? Non-penalty goals, he's in the 86th percentile. Non-penalty XG,
He
88th
has 2
percentile.
goals. He has 2 goals, yes. How about you bring up Cunha stats then? Since
Bro,
you're bringing
he
that
has
up.
played 1,100 minutes in the last year, and Koby Mainoo's played 1,300 minutes. So if you want to say that Mount stats don't matter, then neither do Mainoo's.
Pull up.
But I'm also trying to understand Nelson.
Nelson.
No one is arguing. No one is arguing that Mount is better than Cunha,
Yeah.
right? Or Cunha is not. But you are
Oops,
making
sorry.
the argument that
Sorry.
because
You-
your
you-
point was not on Cunha.
Yeah.
Your point was that, and this is a squad, right? Not
Yeah.
starting lineup.
Yeah.
That why you don't see the sense of Mason Mount. So
No.
in other words, let's just get rid of him.
Yeah. Yes. That's my
Right.
point. My
So-
point is
so-
we
so-
don't need it. Yeah.
Right? But remember, you're not buying.
Mhm.
You're not buying a player to replace Cunha.
Mhm.
You're buying a player to replace Mount, who's not necessarily starting lineup, but his starting lineup or comes off the bench, right? So who are you going to buy that's as good with that much of experience, with the football IQ of Mount?
I would bring in another. I genuinely, I think we should bring in another.
Ask who?
Cunha.
Ask who?
Like,
Not what?
Okay.
who do I bring
Let
in?
me say this.
I can bring.
Let me
okay,
say
go on,
this.
sorry, go on.
The way, the reason I'm in this argument, first of all, is because I want you to give some respect to Mount. You're not respecting
I will
Mount
not respect a
to the
guy
caliber-
who's
Yeah,
been
it is.
injured for 1
because
year.
you see, no,
How much
listen.
respect?
Let me talk. Let me
Okay.
talk.
You know what?
You
I'll
see-
turn off my camera because it's a waste of time. Go on. Carry on. Go on.
Okay. You see,
The irony is that Nelson has no shame when he's voicing his opinions, but now he's suddenly coy when he has to listen to opinions.
Brother, listen, here's my
okay.
argument.
Let me say
Okay,
this.
Robert,
Let me say my
finish,
point.
finish.
Okay.
Just so you know, I've spoken
Let
2
me-
minutes because I've been when I speak, Robert speaks. Donovan speaks. Then Robert speaks. Then Sean speaks. So I haven't
Guys,
had enough
we-
time to respond to
Guys,
anyone.
he's
But
right.
you know what,
Nelson is
Mount-
right.
yeah,
No,
I
Nelson is right. Nelson's right, guys. We are all gonna take a beat. We're gonna let Nelson finish his point, and when he says, "Now I'm finished," only then we talk. Okay, let's give him that much because he feels that he's being suppressed here, right? He's being oppressed, and let the brother breathe for a minute. Let's all be quiet, and only when he says that I'm done, that's when we speak. Go on, Nelson.
No, because here's the argument that we were talking about Koby. Because you didn't bring up Kobe's stats. You can show his stats. His dribbling numbers are high. How many times has he played in the 10 in Amarim's turn? Because we were talking about the 3. We were talking about
A
last.
couple of
year.
times last season.
couple of times.
Last season.
We haven't seen a consistent number of games where Kobe has played in the 10. He played 1 game in the 10, played amazingly. Next game moved to the 9. He hasn't been consistently playing as a 10. So the argument that you can make that Mount is better as a 10, we haven't seen that enough. If you have an equal number of games and you compare them, then that's fair. That's why my argument with Mount is Cunha. And it's clear that Cunha was brought in to improve on the left hand, which is Mount's position. So for me, there can't even be an argument of Cunha and Mount. The argument for me is Mount and Koby. And when you look at Koby's stats, his tackles are good, his aerial winning is good, Which is weird. I didn't even know he was a good aerial winner. The only thing that he struggles in is blocks and interceptions, which I agreed with Donovan when I said he's poor at defensive positioning. He doesn't know when to go or when to sit back. That's where Mount is much better than him at. But in his attacking output, I'm sorry, Mount is nowhere near, and I'm saying this with chest. He's nowhere near Koby Mainoo. Koby Mainoo is a great attacking player. He is. The problem with him is his defensive stats, and that requires loan and development. And that's when I'll see him. That's when we'll see a better version of Koby. But he's not ready right now. That's my argument. Now, Robert, please tell me
hold
how I'm
on.
wrong.
Just before Robert goes, one thing I want to say, Nelson.
Yes.
If you're saying that his attacking numbers are better than Mount's, and Mount is in no conversation with Cunha, then should Koby be in a conversation with Cunha?
No, Cunha's better. Cunha's better than
So we none of us brought Cunha into the Mount conversation. You brought Cunha into the Mount conversation, right? Yeah. We didn't bring it. This conversation started with you saying, "Tell me one thing that Mount does well," and I feel like the panel did a decent job. Maybe you don't agree, but I think the panel did a decent job of bringing up things that Mount is good at that he deserves to be in this team for. Whereas the point I'm still struggling with, because you mentioned his stats, but I think Mount has the same problem as Koby, that they both have played around 1,000 minutes in the last 365 days.
Correct.
Right?
But let's assess those minutes. How many minutes has the way they play them?
No. I'm not saying. Listen, I'm not saying. Yeah. Listen, that's Amram's decision. Amram has decided to play one in the 10, one in the center midfield. So technically, you can't even compare those two players.
No.
But we were saying more philosophically. Show me something that Mount has done to stay in the team, and show me something that Mainoo. So you think Mainoo has shown us enough to be in this team, but Mount necessarily hasn't shown us.
I would argue that if you looked at last season, in the few times that Koby did play in the 10, Koby did play well. He actually played in one of the few wins we had. Koby was the primary reason as to why we won. And then the next game, he played him as a 9, which I think Amram noticed that was a mistake. Never played him again in the 10. And then after that, he made the argument that he sees Koby in the Bruno role.
At times, Nelson, just please hear me out. At times, when we play a game and we don't look like we are breaking through, we look what's on the bench, and if we see Mount is there, I think very often we say, let's get Mount on, even if Cunha's on. Right? That Mount gives you those options, right? That is slightly different when you need to unlock a team that you have trouble in, or you want to settle the game where you need to nurse the game where you have the lead and you want to manage the game, right? That relates to the football intelligence. So the parts where I agree with you to the extent of saying, listen, because even when we bought Mount, when Ten Hag bought Mount as our first buy, that transfer, and I was like, no, hold on, why are we buying Mount when we need a striker and we need a defensive midfielder? Why is this our first buy, if I remember that window correctly? And it seemed like a player he always wanted, and now he had money and went to go and buy.
He wanted to play Bruno and Mount as 2 8s, and then play Casemiro as the 6. Which, yeah.
So at any rate, like that there are these things. However, at the same time, and this is where this is the point I think Robert is trying to make on talking about the disrespect and that he doesn't need to be as good as Cunha and better than Cunha, but he gives you options that are different. He does fill in when you don't have a striker or the striker can't work, right? Like you had a situation where at times, at certain games, you can't play a striker the way that the team is set up, and Mount gives you that. Or you're now going to go in such a way you're going to lose Casemiro because he can't run anymore. You can bring on Mount and you can use more defensive abilities and that. And that's those things you're not respecting enough. And you're saying, no, let's just get rid of him. That's why the woo would be important. Who would you go and get now that will cost you 5 million? Because I'm sure Mount will be paid up in terms of amortization. What is left to be paying that you would need to go and buy somebody.
He's still making
4 million
250
at the end of the season.
Yeah, he's on a high wage too, Robert. Just so you know, he's on 200 plus.
Okay.
By the way, the player that if he was available now, that we should have got, and in fact we could have got in the previous summer, who does what Mount does but is fitter and better, is Kudus.
Yeah,
Kudus
yeah,
was
I
the
agree.
player that
Yeah,
we should have
yeah,
got, and he was available for 55 million,
yeah,
same amount we paid for Mount, but 2 years later on a
yeah.
more sensible wage than Mount,
Hmm.
right? So that's the ideal player because his defensive work rate is insane. He can
His
find a
attacking
pass,
output is
he can
good.
finish,
Yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
rapid,
Hmm.
right? So I
Although
would,
I'd like
and he can
something
beat a
more.
man easily.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sorry?
nice.
Robert. Let's hear from Robert.
Yeah,
Let's hear from
sorry, yeah.
Robert, and then I want to
Okay.
hear from Shant after that because he's been like a good boy over there in the in the corner, respecting everybody. But yeah, Robert, please go ahead.
So, for me, personally speaking, for myself, this Mount discussion reminds me of this guy, Guti Hernandez. And it was like, it reminded me because Guti Hernandez was actually a proper player. But because he was in a team that had guys like Luis
Real Madrid,
Figo,
Guti? Okay.
yeah, Guti Hernandez, yeah, that
Okay.
guy, yes,
Okay.
him. Guys like Figo, Zidane, Makelele,
Bro,
who
this
can
guy
go.
is 30 years older than you. How are you pulling out Guti Hernandez in a Mason? What the hell is that? Someone get me his birth
Come
certificate,
on,
bro.
dude.
But yeah, please
Guti
go
was a
ahead.
baller. Like he's
Guti
No,
was
no,
a
I'm
one of
saying
the
serious.
how is
legends of the
Robert?
game.
I'm
Yeah.
saying how is Robert? How does Robert know about Guti? I'm not saying Guti wasn't a legend.
That's
This
the
is the
point.
50th anniversary of Robert's involvement in football as a 19-year-old.
Yeah. Anyways, Robert, please continue. Please
Wait,
continue.
Guti was rated
But
back in the day.
isn't Guti
was
Guti
crazy
almost
rated.
50 though?
Yeah,
He is. That's
He's
what I'm
going to be
Okay.
saying.
49 now.
yeah.
He's 49 now, I
49.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guti, by the
He's
Anyways,
way,
such an
Robert,
intelligent
back in the
bowler.
day
Hey.
was highly rated.
let
Like,
Robert let
go on,
let
go on,
Robert go.
sorry.
Let Robert go.
Yeah.
I haven't said Guti Hernandez wasn't actually highly rated. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is Guti Hernandez was not the cream de la cream of Real Madrid just because at that time Real Madrid had a midfield of this guy Zidane, Figo,
Mhm.
Redondo, Cambiaso, Makelele. So if you have those guys in the pitch, you tend to overlook a guy like Guti. And Guti was a proper bowler, certified bowler. And he wasn't actually given the respect that was supposed to be accorded to him. This is why I'm telling you should give Mount some respect. Yes, he's had a hard time because of his injuries, but he's still a proper player. Because once you look at him play, you can't negate the fact that Mount actually has a bit of quality in him. And I see him as more of a Swiss Army knife, somebody who can do a lot of stuff. You can't actually put Mount in one specific category and say that he does this or he's really good at this because he's that utility player, somebody who you can, if you throw Mount in the striking position, he might do a job. You throw him at right 10, he does a job. You throw him at left 10, he does a job. So it's not that you so in line or I'm agreeing that with people who saying that Mount should be in the squad because his wage is actually high for somebody who's getting injured a lot.
Also,
But
how
that is
good
not,
was that
it's
goal
not
against
his
Sunderland,
fault.
by the way?
Yes, he scored that goal against Sunderland, by the way, and also the one against Palace. And it's not his fault that he was actually brought into a squad that had no leadership whatsoever, or into a team which had no structure that he was given such a wage, because they could have taken all that into account and given him a better wage. But you still have to accord him some respect because he's actually a proper player. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Shant, let's hear from Shant.
I
think
just want to quickly say that there are this guy Robert has said so many things, and I have to really think hard to disagree with anything he said because so many valid points in there. Except maybe I would say that Guti isn't the right comparison because
Yeah, it is.
Guti's on the ball intelligence was on
Was
another level.
insane. He was
But I
he
get
was
the
shocking
profile. I get
back
the
in the
profile,
day.
like a guy
Yeah,
among stars, a guy
yeah.
among stars and better players who
Mhm,
can come in and still makes a difference whenever he's on. Because
mhm,
Sean, I'm sorry, I'm coming to you in just give me 10 seconds. The
mhm.
fact that Mount, I'm thinking back, like, okay, I gave him brickbats because of his injury record. Pretty sure he still hasn't paid 2,200 minutes for the club in 2.5 years.
Mhm.
But in whatever position he's been asked to play, like in the nine, one could argue he's looked better than Cunha when he's playing in the nine. And even on the left 10, like Andy just reminded us, Against Sunderland, we kept a clean sheet and he scored a goal. Right now, maybe Cunha would have done the same thing if he had played in that game. We don't know. But the fact that this guy can come,
No, but
and I
Amarim
remember
dropped
having
him.
this conversation.
Amarim dropped him in that game. It's not about
Yeah,
a maybe.
yeah,
Amarim dropped him because he wasn't happy
yeah,
with the tactics that he was giving him, and Cunha wasn't working
right,
hard enough defensively. In
right.
fact, in that same game when Mount came off for Cunha, he was on the touchline yelling at Cunha for not
Correct.
following his tactics.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I remember this conversation I had with Andy. I told him that, before the end of this season, I think Mount will play 10 games at one of the wing back positions. And the reason I said this was Mount has the work rate and Mount has the tactical flexibility to play that position. He's defensively sound and he can put in a cross. And, the way the chips have fallen, I still maintain he might not play even 5,500 minutes for the club by the end of his contract. But if we're just talking about availability and ability, then yeah, he does have a role in the squad. Sorry, I've gone on longer. Sean, let's go with
Honestly, you guys have like covered the whole thing on so many levels. The only thing, like, just to like cap it off, I think the team composition as it is today is like very indicative of a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 that is switched to a 3-4-2-1. So in order for us to have proper balance and any chance of playing Mainoo, you're gonna have to have a way better specialist wingback that doesn't vacate so much space, so that if you're playing Mainoo in the left 10, he's going to have to be better positionally than what he is right now. That's why Mount gets picked. He has the experience. He's been Champions League final. He has that like tactical nous of just, they're actually very similar profiles, funnily enough, if you look at Mount and Mainoo. But Mainoo has a much better skill set technically for his age, everything. But Mount, again, it's a question of, are you going to pick a player that you can depend on, or are you going to try to have a player learn on the job when he's too young that maybe shouldn't be tasked with doing that? And I think that's just the whole, like, I think,
that's my argument.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Sean said it in a more eloquently way than I
but
have.
on the way to saying that though, Nelson, you thoroughly disrespected Mason Mount.
I disrespect
That's the only
Mount.
thing that I.
No,
that's the only thing I have a problem with.
That will never change, because I understand what every single person is saying. Donovan made the best point in which he said, specifically, let's say you're winning a game and you need to change to a defensive phase. You're obviously going to put Mount in because he is a better, for all of our attacking midfielders, he is the best one at defensive foundation. That's all I'm saying. But to me, that is an indication of we're still obviously not there, because I would have preferred more attacking players. You said who, Donovan? I never answered that. Rishi had said one of the guys that I actually did want, which is Kudus. The other guy
He saved you.
Yeah, no, I have multiple players. There's Fatawu that I would go for. He's a brilliant attacking midfielder. I would go for Yankuba Minte, because I think the issue we have in this team that hasn't been discussed about a lot is we are struggling to get balls into the final third. Our touches in the box aren't as good.
Nelson, to break you a bit.
Go on.
Just at what your point, it's a small, but what do you think actually of Bilal El Kanous?
El Kanous is slow though. He's good. He's like Ryan Cherky. Like he's someone like Cherky, but I don't know. I love Cherky, but I didn't know if he would ever work in our team. I think he's a great player, but I don't think. What do you guys think? I don't know about. If we got Cherky, would you have
guys, we're so here. Hold on. We're at 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Sorry, and I brought up another one.
I wanna say something. It's gonna be a hot take, and you guys can tell me your thoughts on the next call, and maybe some brief thoughts here as well. That's okay, because we have about, let's say, 2 minutes left. I actually think, because I'm actually very surprised by the Mason Mount disrespect. Because I'll say this, I think Mason Mount at this level, if we're looking at Koby Mainoo right now, Mason Mount right now, Amarim's version of a title-winning team, Mason Mount makes the squad, Koby Mainoo doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we go improve the squad, right, to get the best midfielders that we want, the best wingbacks that we want, the best center backs that we want, whatever it is. In a title-winning team, Mount will still be there, but Koby Mainoo will not. Because he adds something that Koby doesn't.
I think both of them will make it.
I don't think either one of them. I don't think neither of them. That's crazy. That's a crazy.
That's
in
not
the squad.
Disrespect
in the squad, I think
not
it's
even in the squad.
I think he's
Not
in
even
the
in the
squad.
squad.
I think he does.
No chance. Sorry.
That's fair. I mean, you guys are disrespecting
Yeah,
Mount
no,
too
no,
much,
no.
bro.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
no, that's
I can be
yeah.
respectful to Mount and still say that respectfully, please F off from our team because you're literally stealing a living by being
Yeah.
injured the entire time.
No,
On
but that's
ability, on pure ability, that's another question. See, we are not winning the title till 2028. And Ineos are stupid if they keep him on beyond 2028, if they offer him a new
Rishi. What did
contract.
I say?
That's
I
like
said right
Luke
now.
Shaw.
I'm saying this version of Mount and this version of Koby Mainoo, right? I'm not saying in 3 years from now, Mainoo doesn't get better and Mount doesn't get worse. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about right here, right now. If you're looking at this version of Mason Mount, he is a squad player in
He's
a
a good squad
title-winning
player.
team
No,
because
he's
he
a good.
gives us.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a
Okay,
good
in
squad
that
player. He's
way,
a good
yes.
squad player.
In,
Yeah,
in
he's
What
that
a
else
way,
did
I
I?
starting
That's
understand
what I
what you
said.
mean.
Yeah.
No,
Because
I'm with
even when we are not a title winning team, Menu doesn't make the damn pitch, bro. He's not getting on the
Exactly,
pitch.
bro. There's all this glazing of Mainoo based on what? You haven't seen shit of Mainoo. Like he hasn't done
haven't
anything
know.
in this team.
My question about
Well, you're looking at
Mainoo.
the Euro final against Spain and saying
Yeah.
Mainoo should play in the
I
team.
no.
Okay, bro.
Wait, Andy. Don't disrespect one player who hasn't done anything, and disrespect another player who hasn't done anything either. Neither one of
What are
them
you
have done
talking
enough.
about? Come on.
Neither one of
Nelson,
them.
you're
done
doing
more
the
than
same
Mainoo
thing,
has.
dude.
You're doing the same thing, bro.
Wait 1 second, Andy.
No, but
I'm
Mount has
saying-
Mount has played more under Amarim now.
Yeah.
Right. Let's just
And-
leave it under Amarim.
Yeah,
Let's forget
under
10
Amarim.
Hag because
Okay.
there's also Mount injury there and Mainoo. I also would give him respect. FA Cup, all of those things. Giving us some great moments in that. So the point is that under Amarim, Mason Mount has proven a more valuable member of the squad than Mainoo. That's even Amarim, who came in mid-season, as well as this season in particular. And we're not yet, I don't know what, 25% of the season or what?
Yeah.
And so in that sense, Mount, and that's why we think the disrespect is, and I also disagree with Rishi. There's no stealing of a living. I hear you on the injury and stuff like that, and then you say ability. But now that he's generally he's a more reliable player. He's literally a way more reliable player right now. And in terms of what we need to build a winning squad, Mason Mount is very, very important. Those off-field things, the clean living, the hard training, all of those things become quite important for the club, because what are we building? And so Mount ticks so many boxes, as well as that intelligence of understanding that you make the most of what you have. Mount, you can't get faster, so he creates other values about himself and other things that can be used.
Sherpa, I hear what you're saying, and even Sean, when you said that he's a good squad player, and Andy, when you say that this version of Mount makes it. My problem is I look across the squad and I look at so many of these players, right? Like Dallo has a good game, and we're like, oh, he's a good squad player. He trains hard, he turns up, he's on a decent wage. You look at Mazraoui, he's a likable guy, he can play multiple positions. He's a good squad player. There are a lot of these guys who are good squad
Rishi,
players, but
sorry. No. I'm gonna have to stop you there because you can't use what I said about Mason Mount and apply it to Dallo and Mazraoui to make that an equivalency. Because I'm not saying that about Dallo or Mazraoui. They're squad players now. I said for a title-winning team, Mazraoui or Dallo don't get anywhere near it.
Dude, that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that Mount is in the same category as these guys. If there is a way that you can upgrade on these guys, and I'm saying that we need to be more ruthless, guys. If we're talking about title winning teams, all these guys that we look at, they're all nice people and they do a job every now and then. But every now and then does not win you a title. Look at Arsenal, the way Hincapie put in a tackle on this dude when he was playing against Chelsea, and he was all up in his face against Neto, I think, against Neto. Right, he was all up in his face. Hincapie is a guy who doesn't get into the starting 11 when Saliba and Gabriel and Calafiori and Timber are playing. Right, but he's a guy who turned up on a day, and he's a guy who Arteta, I'm pretty sure, trusts to start a Champions League final or a semi-final. Right. If we are looking at the title winning squad and a makeup, and we're looking at what Mount offers today, I still feel that's not good enough. I said kudos and everyone's face is lit
Bro,
up.
you're comparing Hincapie, who he would trust to start a Champions League final, with a player who did start a Champions League final.
Yeah, but that was 4 years ago, dude. Come on. That was 4 years ago.
And when
he's been injured. He's gotten so much slower. He's gotten so much slower.
Squad player. Can he play 30 games a season in a title winning team?
He has not played 30 games in a season when we are finishing 15th. That's my point.
Rishi,
So.
the only
Yeah, go for
problem
it.
I
Go for
have-
it, Robert.
And
Yeah.
listen, you're saying Dallo and Mazraoui and Mount are squad players, but you're okay saying Mainoo can be somebody that plays in the team. Like
No,
I
I
don't know.
never said that, dude. I never said that. I don't want
I'm
men.
just
I
trying
don't
to
want Menu
understand
in the
where we
team.
are because we got into this Mount versus Mainoo debate, and all I'm saying is for me, Mount is being heavily disrespected for what he can give you. He can't start because his injury history, but I think he can be an important squad player.
He's being
Like,
heavily disrespected for where we are now, Andy. But when you say that he can be a squad player in a championship winning team, that is where I disagree. You understand the levels we are at, right? Like in terms of the discussions.
I
There are
have a
two different
question for
discussions.
I have a question for everyone because I think this will kind of like tie in Rishi and you, Andy. So right now, considering if Elliot Anderson might be on the table, off the table, which player bringing in either in January or summer elevates us to that title-winning squad that will then push out some of the unfavorables like the Mazraoui, Dalot, or in some of our eyes, Mount? Which midfielder available do you think fills that role that we say other players are not being highlighted now? Which of the current crop of midfielders?
Casemiro could be out here if we got
Yes,
Anderson.
exactly. So replacing either Casemiro or even potentially a Bruno or, whatever permutation. Of the available midfielders that we've talked about this crop, which one priority-wise would you guys go for?
Casemiro.
No. I'm talking about ins to
Bring
like
me
to,
in.
to-
Bring
yeah.
me in.
Well, to me, it's two actually. It's Anderson and Baleba, and now they've also raised about Lamine
Kamara.
Lamine
Kamara.
Kamara.
personally, I would go
I
for
haven't seen
Kamara.
him.
Kamara in the Casemiro
Yeah.
position is the one for
You
me.
guys are turning me around on the way that I'm thinking in terms of the way that the ball's progressed, and I'm starting to believe Baleba and Kamara are a little bit more important than what I've given them, regardless of Baleba's current form this year.
Mhm. Thank you.
I just want to say that Rishi, though, on a global point, Andy, I think not necessarily in Mount. Rishi has a point that I need to, take note of, and I have taken note of it, that you can't have too many squad players to say that, okay, because it's also like
Exactly.
hedging your bets. It's like hedging your bets, that you're scared to get rid of a player. So you keep players a bit too long. So you got to be a lot more, it's got to be a science, you got to be a lot more surgical and say, okay, this player is not good enough. I can't just also go and get a young player and hope that player develops. I have to go and get some quality. I must go and get another Cunha and another Mbomo. I can't just go and get a Sesko and wait, in a sense. So there has to be the next few windows have to do that. And if that means losing Mount, but you got to get a good enough player who's better than Mount, and not mind to pay for it, or whoever it is. If it's you can't go and get another Dogu. You got to get a better. If the wing backs are so important, go and get the best you can get.
But
I'm
Sherpa,
totally
would you
Okay, I mean,
agree?
look,
Would you
okay.
agree that out of all the squad players that we have right now, Mount is probably the best one?
Yeah, I don't compare him to Mainoo because I still want Mainoo, but
No, forget about
Mainoo's-
Mainoo. Forget about Mainoo. We're talking about Dorgu,
Yes, Mount,
Dallo, the
yeah,
players that are
Mount is an
actually
excellent
playing.
squad player.
He's
Yeah,
the best
an
one
excellent
out of
squad player.
them, right? So if we're eliminating all of the other guys, is it wrong
In the
to keep
forward line, in
Mount
the
in the
other, I'll
team?
say maybe Maguire. Maguire.
No,
could be a
but
good squad
Andy, again, your question was about
Rishi
a
only
championship
disagrees
winning
with
team.
Your brother's going for you.
No, that's fine. Robert, was Robert saying something?
No,
Oh,
and Rishi
don't-
was.
I think Rishi was actually saying something. Let Rishi talk, then I'll add on my point because it's
Sure.
just
No.
a small
I'm just making the same point again. That we're going to continue. Andy and I are going to continue this conversation after the live ends. So, Robert, please go for it.
Okay, so the only place where I disagree with Rishi, I'm actually the Rishi that you need to be more ruthless, but I don't think you need to get rid of Mount as early as we may think, because the only problem you have with Mount is his injuries. So if this season he ends up having a better record, I think he goes on to have a better one even next season, because just as I compared him to Reece James in the first part, and I'm not saying that I want him to stay. That's not what I'm implying. Just the same way I talked about Reece James. Like, I don't know which season it was. Reece James was getting injured all the time, and I was like, this dude is finished. But his comeback and his minutes are being managed. So if Mount can get himself to that place, get himself back to be at least 70% of the player he was before, I think he will actually earn his wages. Even though they are high, for me they're still high, he'll come close to earning those wages. So that's the only thing.
I also think what you said at the end, Robert, that's the biggest thing. The corresponding factors around Mount is not Mason Mount the individual. It's Mason Mount, the number 7 shirt, earning £200,000 a week, playing
Always
at
injured.
Manchester United, always injured, never available. So when he does play, you do like that Reece James shot was actually not bad. Reece James obviously way higher levels than Mount, but
Yeah. Always
you
injured.
but always injured. That's the issue. So I do like what Mount brings to the table, especially for what we have in our squad. He's in my squad, and I don't have a problem with Amram playing him. But I also think that, like, if we got to get real, like, we need better quality all throughout. We need a better striker. We need better midfielders.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't want to get banned by Andy. I'll say Mount is a better squad player.
No, hear me out, right? I think we tend to forget some of the other teams that have won, and we just look at their first 11s. We don't remember some of their squad players. You look at the 1920 Liverpool title win, they had Shaqiri, Origi, and Lallana in their team that helped them win as a squad player.
Yeah, I thought
Shant
Do you have any more recent examples, Andy? Because I'm looking at the Arsenal team.
No, Rishi,
I'm looking at the Arsenal
we've
team.
already heard that you disagree.
Well,
We
I
know
thought-
you disagree, bro. We know
I
you
thought-
disagree
I
with my
thought when
take.
Andy
That's
said
fine.
But the league is so different now, Andy. The league is so different. The league is so different. The league is so different now. And you
Okay,
have
Andy,
like, let me ask you a
Rishi was
question.
asking for an
Mount,
example. Rishi was
Yeah.
asking for an example. I'll give you Liverpool last season. They had Endo. Endo didn't play much, but when he played, I don't think he put a foot wrong.
He put
but-
some feet wrong.
he did.
And
Endo was
and he-
such
and
a
he-
bad.
yeah.
He was
I
such
think
a
Mount's
bad-
He
levels,
actually-
Mount's levels
Yeah.
are too beyond Endo last year. I don't think
Yeah.
Endo was the right shout.
Yeah, they're beyond Endo. That's the only guy I can think of recent.
Yeah.
Because you asked
Yeah.
somebody who's recent. Arsenal
I
have
mean, your
hasn't won
ball.
a league.
Listen, your ball knowledge and your name recollection is insane, but I don't think Endo's the guy. I don't think he was that good
Okay,
last
good.
year. I think more so,
Yes.
maybe. I don't know. It's hard. That Liverpool
Hey,
team. The league
Andy-
last year
Andy-
sucked.
Andy was
Like-
referencing.
Yeah, the league last year sucked, so it's difficult finding a player who was actually.
I mean, is
that kind
Curtis
of a-
is Curtis Jones
He's
not
unbelievable.
a squad player for?
Oh
Liverpool?
yeah, Curtis
Yes.
Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Curtis
Yeah,
Jones,
Curtis
yeah,
Jones, actually. Yeah, that's the name.
Harvey Elliott.
Wait,
I
And
mean,
I
we
would
want to
play- I
pretend
would
like
play
they played
Mason
11
Mount.
players all season, right? Richie,
Besides
you
No,
have
of
a
course,
response
Mason
to
Mount,
that?
guys, I
we
only
were in
have
the
one
Champions
question.
League.
Mhm.
Go on.
Rishi, if we were in the
Yeah,
Champions
yeah.
League, wouldn't you think a player like Mount would be very, very important for us, even starting lineup in the Champions League, because they're the experience we need and the understanding. of
Sherpa,
quality.
if you mean next season when we are in the Champions League, when we are not competing for the league title or we are not competing for the Champions League, at that stage, Mount makes sense. First of all, because we are not at a championship winning level, we are not winning either title, right?
No.
So at that stage, Mount makes sense. But I'm saying that by the time you reach that level where in this current squad that Arsenal is going to win the title with, I don't think Mount is doing more than even Trossard. Trossard has had a better record in the last 3 years since he's been at Arsenal than Mount has had at United.
Rishi,
Trust
Even at the
but
current
injury
level.
history aside, hold on. Injury history aside, if Mount was as available and he was playing for Arsenal, you don't think he looks anywhere near Trossard? You're talking. I
But
feel
no,
like
we
we're
can't.
comparing
Dude,
these players.
no,
like,
dude, you can't. You can't. Why are you keeping injury history aside? That is part of the player, right?
Yeah, you have to account
No,
for
That
but
is
that.
part
I'm
of the
saying-
player. You
listen,
have to consider
listen,
that.
Hold on. Trossard doesn't play 50 games a season, does he?
No,
How many
besides
games
besides
do you
the
need? How
He
many
at
games
least
do you
plays
think Mount
40.
needs to be available?
Mount hasn't played even 40 games for
Hold on.
United.
Rishi,
Yeah.
how many games does a squad player need to be available for? Just give me the answer. 30.
A squad player needs to be available for as many games as he can physically be fit, whether that's 50 games or 60 games. He needs
Okay,
to
how
come off the
many
bench
games-
in some,
But just
at least
How many
30 full
minutes does a
90s,
squad player play?
at least 30 full 90s, at least 3,000 minutes, 2,700 to
Rishi-
3,000 minutes.
Rishi is correct. You must be available for them.
That's
If
a
he plays
starter,
another
bro.
match. But
3,000
match is-
minutes is a
remember,
starter. It's not a
Arsenal-
squad player.
and just remember, Arsenal and them, they all didn't have such a bad medical team like we had. So some of that Mount was brought back too early, wasn't allowed to recover, and all of that. Amarim has got him back right now, and he has had a slight. He wasn't that long.
Actually, the Arsenal the head of Arsenal medical department, we signed him the same summer we got bound.
Yeah, we sold him. Yes, and so if Arsenal had our doctors, then not the ones that we have now, then Trossard may not have come back.
I think it was Donovan. I think it was even the coach. The coach was Ten Hag played him into the ground. He disregarded the medical. Amarim is actually for all the things we give him shortcomings on. His injury management is fantastic.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Just look at Cunha.
Guys, I'll play the world's smallest violin for a millionaire who's injured all the time. But my point remains, all those things considered, I feel sorry for Mount that he's wasted so much of his career playing for Ten Hag, right, and being run into the ground. But the fact is, you cannot separate the injury record from the player's availability.
Exactly.
You cannot separate his attitude, right? Go ask Madrid fans; they hate Gareth Bale. He was injured a lot, and he didn't give a shit about them. So even though he could have been the best player in the world, the most ruthless club in the world said that we don't care about him because he didn't have the right attitude towards the club and he wasn't available all the time. You can't separate those two things. So again, the player cannot be separated from his fitness record.
Cohen has got a good point in the chat. He says that he thought we were discussing the hypothetical thing of a managed Mount, that without the injuries and so, because it's a managed Mount. And the point is, I agree with you, but at the same time, in this matter here, right now, as you're saying, next season, if we in the Champions League and whatever it is, Mount is an important part of the squad. No one is saying that we must remain with Mount all the time. That this is the apex of it. Okay. If we are going to
Sherpa, we're going around in circles what we did 10 minutes back. And after you said this, I said that I'm okay with him next season. But in a championship winning squad, I do not see a player of either his quality or availability, quality included, to be part of that squad. That's all I'm saying. Right? So I'm not as extreme as Nelson, but I'm also not as kind and forgiving at some of the other comments that have been shared here. So that's all I'm saying.
I also think he's a square peg in a round hole. He's not an amazing 10 and he's not an amazing 8. So that's why when you say in a title winning for Amarim, I'm being real with the system, right? Mm-hmm. Like we need another player like the Kudus, like the Cunha, like the Mbuma. We need that quality at the 10s. And then at the 8s, we need any amalgamation of the types of Anderson, Wharton, Baleba, Kamara, players that fit into Amarim's role. And that's why I'm just thinking like, yeah, he would be a player that you could just kind of like go in. But if you're telling me get rid of Mount, get João Gomes, I'll say, yeah, sure. I'll do it.
Boys. I'll give you guys two more names. I'll give you guys two more names for that 10 role.
Rishi, hold on.
I'll give you two more names for that 10 role. Morgan Gibbs-White and Morgan Rogers.
Rishi, hold on. We're sitting here pretending like United wins the league with 16 players that we go and buy for the first team. We're sitting here pretending like every player has to be perfect and has to be a player that is brought in specifically for the role. Guys, Shaqiri was a squad player for the 1920 team, right? You want to look at last year's team. They were playing Harvey Elliott. They were playing Curtis Jones. These are not players that they went and purchased for the first team. Okay, these are players that they had to make do with. So I'm just telling you, we're sitting here comparing. You're telling me Morgan Gibbs-White and whatever else you said, bro. We're not buying those guys as the 14th and 15th player on our team.
Yeah.
But we still need 5 more players, and we still need more turnover.
No, but we're not talking about how we get there, Sean. I'm just saying that in my point was the current version of Mason Mount. If the rest of the team was built up, we are talking about a hypothetical.
Yeah, he could be a 14, 16 player. Yeah, of course.
That's what I'm saying. He can be a 14, and that's not a crazy
This
thing
is just immaterial. This is literally splitting hairs. Like
someone saying Anderson could be better than Mount. Yeah, bro, because Anderson's going to be a first team player.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's going to be he can be from 12 to 15 or 16. He could be in that conversation and be very useful for our team. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say for him to play 30 games a season, 40 games a season off the bench. Like you guys are acting like, oh, Trossard is better. This is better. Sure, there are players that are better squad players than him, but we can't be acting like Mount is going to be useless in a title winning team. That's what I'm hearing from a lot of people because he's not going to be available. And Rishi even said, even with his ability, he's not good enough. Not just his injury history. So
stick by it. And current ability that I've seen.
Rishi, before the Galacticos, I can't remember the coach, but I think it was AC Milan when they bought Jean-Pierre Papin, and the argument made was the player I have on the bench must be as good as the player who's starting, and that's what led to the Galacticos. and they sold Makalela, you know, and it wasn't good enough because he didn't fit the mold. You do not need to have a starting lineup player on your
Yes,
bench.
and also
You
Papa
don't
was
even
really
need to have
disrespected in
player
Milan.
compete like thinking you could. You gotta have the squad, and I think in that sense, Andy's got a point. You know.
I'm just happy that I got to pretend for a minute that United is going to go and challenge for titles. So I don't care who wins this debate. I'm just happy I got to imagine that eventuality.
You don't want him to touch. You don't want him to touch the trophy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the hatred. You
Yeah.
don't want him to do that.
I'm predicting though, by the time we play City, we will be in the top 4, regardless of AFCON.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
You know what? That's valid.
I still think we could
agree
get
with
2 or 3.
actually
I
agree
still believe 2 or 3 we could get it at the end of the season. I'm not even kidding.
And how many minutes does Mount play in those games? Huh? Let me
Very
hear from
many,
you guys.
very, very
How
many.
many minutes does Mount play in those games that you're predicting second and third in
Let's
this
put
league?
some money
But
on
he
the
can't
line.
be a
I
squad
mean,
player. Yeah. He can't be a squad player he can't be 14th or 15th, right? He can be a starter in a team that gets a second or third. But
Yeah.
God forbid I say he's a squad player in a title winning team.
And
anyways.
Maguire will be our striker.
Let's not forget Liverpool wanted him when we went for Mount, right? And it's the injuries, I get it, that have hampered him a lot. But anyways, I like how we've gone. We spent 10% of the time talking about Anderson, which is the title of the show. That's what I love about this community. But I'll say this: the funniest comment I saw today was by Neville. He's like, "I can't trust your name. I feel like your mom wanted to call you Sean and your dad wanted to call you Grant." And instead of arguing, they went with Sean. Bro, come on, that's disrespectful. What do you have to say for Neville Glitter, bro?
just casual racism, right? Let's go. Let's just go. Let's go. Why the fuck not? Well, if I do that, if I say something like that in return, oh, this channel gets taken. Like, come on, what are we doing? What are we doing?
There's another one by Neville. On what Nelson
Neville says another. He says he want Nelson tried for war crimes for saying that we're a top 4 squad right now.
Yeah, but because my argument still stands.
No, we're going to get another.
I'm sorry, Nelson. You seem lovely, but the law is the law.
Yeah, the argument still stands. I don't understand this craziness. We had someone say he's gonna finish 4th. Someone said we could push top 3. I don't. So
actually,
I didn't say that. I didn't
the
say
argument
that.
doesn't stand because you're the same guy who's saying that in the short term this team finishes top 4. So you typically contradicted yourself there because you're thinking about.
One second. Hey. Listen. I don't live in a world of like black and white. You can still play a 4-2-3-1 and adapt the team to switch to a 3-4-2-1. I don't understand why you live in this world where you have to play 3-4-2-1 for you to adapt to a 3-4-2-1. No, you can play.
No. For me, I'm not talking even about the 3-4-2-1. I haven't talked about formations here. I've just saying that is what you say with the quality of our squad. Short term, we finish top 4.
Exactly
but
what I said.
Long term, we don't.
Robert, let me specify exactly what I said. I said we can finish top 4 playing a different system. And by the way, the coach agreed. So if you're arguing with me, argue with Amarim. Amarim said with a different system and a different approach, we get higher positions. If you assume we're going to finish 7th or 6th or 5th, that means we're a top 4 team in a different approach. So disagree.
He said that in the context.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, actually.
Bro, guys, we had this conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on from it. We spent plenty of time on this yesterday, right? Because Nelson is saying that we're a seventh place squad is what you said we're a top 4 squad.
No,
but if we finish 7th, it'll be Amarim underperforming. Yeah. And I said that we're a 7th, we're the 7th best squad in the league. So for us finishing top 4, we'd be overperforming, right? So Sean saying that he's 2nd or 3rd, I think he's saying that he believes Amarim can overperform.
Correct.
That's his point.
That's his
right?
point. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, guys, great conversation. Plenty of disagreements.
Fireworks at the end.
Yeah, exactly. and I don't think Mason Mount's family talks about Mason Mount as much as I've talked about Mason Mount today. So let's give him that credit. And maybe some members in Mason Mount's family are like Nelson. We're shitting on him as well. It's like, bro, Mainoo's better than you. You need to get better. right? Maybe that's why his emotions are injured, guys. His emotions are injured, not his legs. Okay.
I can't believe we're talking
You know,
about
this whole
player.
live,
Yeah. This whole
I
life
can't
should be
believe-
mouth conversation.
this whole
I can't believe we dissed the player that won us the game
Yeah.
on Sunday.
He scored
That's
the
true.
winner,
It's just so wrong. It's the classic fan base. We dissed the player
yeah.
that won us the game and said he's stealing a living. That won us the game.
also Sherpa classic fan base, short-term memory, right? Not remembering what has happened over the last 2.5 years. So we are all full of classic fans. And
Yeah.
this stream has actually reminded me of the time when Russia, waged war with Ukraine, and then a couple of other countries were like, "Oh, this seems like a good opportunity. Let's get into a fight." And then another country was like, "Oh, you know what? Let me invade this country." So there was a lot of cross firing, man. Like it was like it started from one point and then it went to the other place. And yeah, it was a crazy
See,
stream.
Mason Mount's importance, self-importance is growing by the minute. He's associated with wars now. It's crazy, guys. It's the time to shut the stream down. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. We're gonna have a footy fan debate.
Yeah.
Looks like I need to be debating Rishi, man. Looks like that's what
I
needs
love
to
it.
happen on the
Yes.
stream.
Yes.
Yes.
So
That's actually a good one
set this
too.
up.
Yeah.
All right. In case you guys didn't enjoy 2 hours of Mason Mount in or out, we need to shake it all about tomorrow on stream. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.
All right.
And
Thanks, guys.
by the way,
Thank you so
Stat
much.
Patterns dropping today. Stat Patterns episode dropping today. So watch out
Nice.
for that.
All right.
See you guys.
Cool.
See you,
Hey,
boys.
take care,
Bye
everyone.
guys.
Later, guys.
Yeah, great stream. Bye guys.